think happy.
New Lego SpongeBob! You can build your own bikini bottom and have a bubble-busting time with your favorite sponge and your best buddies. You can challenge your friends to a jellyfish fight, pull hilarious pranks, and create your own wacky SpongeBob adventures. Order up! It's time for some crazy underwater action with the new Lego SpongeBob playsets. Each set sold separately.
Hello random person, Sab Nino here. If you followed my channel for a while, you'd know that LEGO doesn't make SpongeBob sets anymore. Same with Mega Bloks. As a matter of fact, nobody really has exclusive rights to make sets. The US has Snap and Switch, China has Area X, and Japan has Jamor? We also have Sembo, Balody, Build It. Long story short, the ownership is a free-for-all. Plus, anytime LEGO Ideas pitches any sort of SpongeBob set, it gets rejected, with the latest attempt at a Krusty Krab still being in review as of the time I'm recording this. But what if Nickelodeon decided to stick to one brand of building sets, and said brand was the one they partnered with first? How would they make sets today? What iconic locations and set pieces would they include? How would they handle minifigures? This was something that's been going through my head for a while. And since I'm an artist, I thought, why not put my money where my mouth is? Before I go into detail, I just want to say that I am far from a master builder. I build LEGO and keep up with it, but I don't have a ton of experience in creating my own LEGO sets. So if there's anything you think would improve on these builds, comment below. With all that said, let's begin. In any building set related to SpongeBob, typically one of the first sets they feature is the pineapple under the sea. Sometimes just the pineapple, sometimes the entirety of Conch Street, and lately, include SpongeBob and Squidward's house while Patrick gets evicted. The LEGO versions are honestly a decent start, and each version has at least one good quality to them. Bikini Bottom Adventures has the perk of having every house, Good Neighbors has the best accessories for SpongeBob's house, and Undersea Party has the best exterior builds. So I wanted to combine all of these attributes for my rendition of a modern Conch Street build. I've included all the iconic houses, along with made Patrick renew his lease. Each house has an interior, and I tried making this the definitive version of the houses. The first thing I wanted to fix was Patrick's rock, cause it always bothered me that it didn't function or even look like it does in the show. So instead I went for a brick build rock instead of two gray pieces, and I made it liftable. For Squidward's Easter Island head, I made it a dark gray color since the light gray in the original set isn't that accurate. I was going to do a grayish blue, but unfortunately they don't have a ton of bricks in that color, and I felt like a bright blue or dark blue would have been too flashy. Plus Squidward's house has a bit of gray in it, so it isn't completely inaccurate. The interior is pretty slim, but I took some liberties from Undersea Party, and that set Squidward's clarinet was brick built, which looks fine, but I think giving him a custom piece would make it more recognizable. The main attraction of the build is of course the pineapple, which has attributes of all three versions made by LEGO, with some touches to make it more accurate to the show. A lot of the interior builds are from Good Neighbors at Bikini Bottom, but I attempted to place them on the ground so it would be less cluttered. I really wanted to give it a second floor like this build somebody else did, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't line up the bottom plates in Studio 2.0. So I had to make the difficult compromise of placing SpongeBob's bed on the first floor. For play features, I included jellyfishing, bubble blowing, the imagination box, and just like every set before it, SpongeBob's bed is also a launcher. I was on the fence of either putting this or the bubble stand, since both of them are iconic. But since a LEGO Ideas set already included a bubble stand, and Snap and Switch is soon to have a Conch Street with the bubble stand as well, I went with the box. I also upgraded the minifigures by giving the characters dual molding and extra detail. If LEGO actually did this, I doubt it would be this elaborate, but I'm still proud of how these turned out. Before I move on, I want to share my very first attempt at this build. It was meant to be a more accurate version of Con Street with full interiors. Unfortunately, most of these pieces don't actually exist since I was still getting used to the program, but I'm still proud of how it turned out from a visual standpoint. The second most iconic location, and the most infamous in the LEGO community, is the Krusty Krab. LEGO has only made 2 of these. One that looks pretty good for the time, and another that takes many setbacks and even got basic details wrong. So I took more inspiration from the 2006 one opposed to 2009. But 2009's Krusty Krab Adventures had made some nice additions to the exterior that I've included. I also attempted to make the front more accurate by including an extra flag, building an antenna, and making the sign bigger. The interior is pretty much the same as the original set, just with minor tweaks such as changing the palette. I included a table and chairs, a safe, a dumpster, a cash register and grill with the same play features as the original set, and Mr. Krabs' office, which in hindsight I should have just got rid of. Look at how cramped he is. I added the paddy wagon as well, since how could it not be featured? I even made it so 2 people can sit in it, which was a complaint many people had with the official build. For the minifigures, I've included the Krusty crew, Plankton, along with Fred since I thought he would make sense to feature as a customer. I also gave SpongeBob a custom Krusty Krab hat piece, and although I've considered giving Mr. Krabs big meaty claws, it never looked right to me, so I simply kept them as is. Despite being an iconic location, there's only 2 brick-built chum buckets in existence, Lego and Snap and Switch. The Lego one has some cool play features, though the chum bucket itself doesn't really look that accurate to me. Sure, it's cool, but the bolts in the center look a bit off, so I tried making it more accurate for mine, along with making the shape more rounded. The first floor has a restaurant area, and the second floor has Plankton's lab. Here's what I did for minifigures. I thought it would be cool to make a Karen since her mobile design pretty much overshadowed the original screen one, which I had no problem with whatsoever. I also included Robot Bob's sponge shift pants, and looking back, I don't think LEGO would actually build the body like this nowadays. In the original set, they placed a sticker for his face on a bunch of bricks. But I feel like if they did it now, then it's most likely they'd make either a new custom piece or make the entire face brick build like Mega Bloks did. Honestly, not much to say on this one. I just thought including the chum bucket was important. I considered including Mrs. Puff's boating school, but if I'm being honest, I think the original holds up really well. Outside of a few details, such as the lighthouse, I'd honestly keep it the same. So I left it out since I feel like including the original build with slight tweaks wouldn't be that interesting. Another set I've considered was Sandy's rocket. But honestly, I didn't think I could bring much new with that one either. Plus, every time they include a Sandy set, it's typically the rocket, so I wanted to do something different. Sandy is an important character to feature, and it would be insulting not to include her. So another thing I considered was the tree dome. But I can imagine the dome not looking that great. Plus, I didn't think including just her tree would have been super interesting. So how did I include Sandy? With Jellyfish Fields. This location never had a LEGO set, so I thought it would be a nice way to spice things up. Plus, the trio have been there a couple of times, notably in Squirrel Jelly and SpongeBob 4D, The Great Jelly Rescue. I included the field itself, a picnic area, and a jellyfish hive. Plus, for play features, I added all the jelly-related builds from the original Bikini Bottom set, since I feel like they'd be more fitting here. I gave SpongeBob his jellyfishing glasses since they never made a minifigure featuring them, and I attempted to give Sandy a tail. I also considered giving Patrick the savage face from all those memes, but I felt like it was way too oddly specific of a reference, and I didn't want Patrick looking uncharacteristically devious in a typical Jellyfish Field setting. Want to know a character that's never gotten a LEGO figure? Larry the Lobster.
I love it, I'm so excited, I just did a personal foul in my shorts.
The closest we have ever gotten was Mega Bloks. Since I was proud of how Jellyfish Fields turned out, I thought, why not include Goo Lagoon as well? It has a boat, some seats to relax in, some weights to lift, along with a snack bar. I made Larry a big fig since, well, he's big. I honestly don't know how well this would balance with his puny legs, so if LEGO would need to downsize, then I wouldn't blame them. Also, how could I give SpongeBob a swimsuit minifigure and not reference ripped pants? I also added Scooters, since he's an underrated character that I thought would fit perfectly in this set. Another set of characters in SpongeBob that also never got the minifigure treatment is Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and I'm very surprised they weren't featured in the set Heroic Heroes of the Deep. So I wanted to attempt to build the most iconic element of their superheroing, the invisible boatmobile. This boatmobile was a bitch to build, cause I had to look up every clear piece that ever existed, and as expected, there isn't a lot that could be used for this scenario. There are 0 usable invisible wheels, and the missiles I had to do in a light gray. So I guess this is the partially visible boatmobile. I also included Man Ray in the Dirty Bubble, along with the ship they drove in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. And since this wouldn't be a LEGO SpongeBob set without SpongeBob, him and Patrick are following the heroic chase in their official costumes. Plus I wanted a generic boat in at least one of these sets. I also gave Man Ray's car a jellyfish launcher, since I thought that thing on the top would make for a cool play feature. But just like Larry, I don't know how stable this would be. One of the coolest characters in SpongeBob in my opinion is the Flying Dutchman. I love his ghostly pirate vibe, and I'm hella excited that he'll be the main antagonist in Search for SquarePants. However, when LEGO decided to include him in a LEGO set, they gave us this. A tiny ship with an island. I think they could have done better. So I spent 3 days giving the Flying Dutchman the LEGO set he deserves. Behold! The Flying Dutchman ship. Built to be mostly accurate to the show. You can send people to the brig, and visit the Dutchman and his captain quarters. I know the bunk rooms are located where I put the brig, but I didn't realize until later into the build, plus I thought combining it with the Dutchman's front desk would look better. And like, it's a ship, and I don't think it would really be possible to have the bunk rooms inside the ship and have it still function like, well, a ship. To be honest, I have no idea if LEGO would actually make a Dutchman ship this big, since this isn't as iconic as the pineapple or the Krusty Krab. But I feel like if they're willing to take the risk, then this would be an epic set. Around the time I made the original concrete builds, I made a LEGO sculpture of SpongeBob. I thought it would be a cool addition to the lineup to have a display piece like this. But I could see them going for something with more play features, like the Build-A-Bob or the LEGO Minion builds they made. So far, I've only been talking about the main show. But what about the spin-offs? Well, to the 20% who asked this, first off, I madly respect you, and second, here's a build of the dinghy cabin from Camp Coral. Looking back, I probably should have downsized it, cause this is a pretty big set. But I'm still proud of how accurate this looks. I included an interior with bunk beds and the tree dome with a functional slide feature. I didn't make the slide shape completely accurate because if I did, characters would get stuck in the slide. The minifigures were kinda tricky since I had to find a way to make them look shorter. Sadly, SpongeBob has the shortest legs period, so he's the same size, but everyone else I gave mid-legs. The Patrick Star Show has practically 0 merchandise. Other than 2 DVDs, a few games on a mobile app that isn't even related to the Patrick Show, and representation in Nick Kart Racers 3, we don't even get a drop of any sort of Patrick Show representation. And right now, the closest we'll ever get to that is any sort of gag the Patrick Star Show has about the show getting merchandise. Due to this, I didn't want to make a full-blown location, but instead a starter set to see how well a Patrick Star Show set would do. So I included the iconic TV where Patrick and Squidina do the Patrick Show. It has cannons that shoot mayonnaise, a skateboard, a table for cooking shows, and a box of props. The minifigures were an interesting creative challenge, especially Squidina. It bothers me that she's much bigger than SpongeBob in height, but sadly that's out of my control, and a baby minifigure body would have just looked weird. Oh, and I included Slappy since he's a regular audience member. Before I get to the next category of the video, here are some honorable mentions for builds that I've considered doing, but ended up scrapping for this video. As mentioned earlier, I've considered doing the boating school, Sandy's rocket, and the tree dome. I left out the boating school since it's fine as is, and the two Sandy ideas since I thought Jellyfish Fields was a more unique location to feature her. Another location I've considered were Mr. Krabs' anchor and Mrs. Puff's house. I left them out since I thought they weren't as iconic as the other locations. Goofy Goobers could be a fun set, but I thought the ones I featured are better starter sets. Same with Globe World. I considered making a bigger version of it like I did with the Flying Dutchman ship, but I thought the Dutchman ship would have been cooler. But if I ever did a part 2 to this video, I would at least attempt it. So far I've only been discussing LEGO sets. However, what if we expanded things even further? What if they made a minifigure series as well? So let's go over my ideas for a CMF. First up is Karate SpongeBob, with custom pieces for the helmet and gloves, along with a new angry face. Cause even though the original LEGO SpongeBob has a ton of expressions, they never made him mad. What's good is a Karate SpongeBob without a Karate Sandy for him to fight. The only things that are different from the original Sandy design I've made is the same gloves as SpongeBob, just in a green color, and a new angry face. Can I say how difficult it is to make faces for Sandy? Her head shape is great, but the tooth is tricky for certain expressions. But it feels almost naked without it. But then again, Mega Bloks' interpretation lent itself better for that, so maybe I should have removed said tooth. Since Nickelodeon loves to shove memes down our throats, I'm sure CMF would do the same thing. So here's a surprised Patrick. I legit thought this would translate horribly as a minifigure due to his small head, but it worked better than I thought it would. Another meme I think they do is Primitive Sponge, since even though the meme is pretty much dead, they love to feature him in modern merchandise for some reason. Since I didn't make a boating school, I felt like Mrs. Puff would be a nice way to include her. Although I like the original LEGO design, I thought it would be cool to attempt something more accurate. I gave her a custom body, minifigure arms with Technic pins, a stud for her hat since it gets the job done, and small legs. You absolutely know they would include Doodle Bob. Mega Bloks even did it for one of their CMFs. I'm unsure if they would make the pencil this big, so perhaps they downsize it or make it a custom piece so he could hold it in both arms like in the episode. Next up is Bubble Bass. Not much to say on him, but it would make sense to include him in this series. Since Bold and Brash is such an iconic part of SpongeBob, it felt appropriate to give Artist Squidward a minifigure. Since he's permanently frowning in the regular head, I thought a custom smiling head would do good. Not sure how they do the hat though. Perhaps either adding a stud or not including a hat at all could be good alternatives. Next up on the chopping block is Purse SpongeBob. I thought he would be an interesting addition solely for outfit variety. Plus it gives Nickelodeon an opportunity to pander even more to meme culture. Figuring out a Mr. Krabs minifigure to put in this set was honestly challenging. I was in between the Pretty Patties meme and the Mad Max outfit for Sponge Out of Water. But I ended up going with Boat Wash Krabs. I gave him a radio and that one Mr. Krabs stock art face that everyone uses. Unfortunately, LEGO minifigures lack cake, so I can't let you see that, Krusty. For more outfit options, I felt like SpongeBob Underpants would be a cool inclusion as well, since he is frequently shown in tidy whities in the show. Plus, if they ever wanted to do another theme song remake, they wouldn't have to strip him nude. Here's Sweet Victory SpongeBob from the most overhyped episode of the series, Band Geeks. Since modern merch loves to include him in this outfit, I think LEGO would follow suit. I feel like they would give him the aggressive singing face since everyone else does it, but I included his eager face to spice things up. One of the fun challenges of this set was figuring out how to include background fish, since the original line we only got 3, with only the Dr. Fish being one actually from the show. Right now we have Fred, Scooter, Bubble Bass, although nowadays he's more of a side character, so why not include Tom, since he's both a meme and a recognizable background character. Now LEGO Tom and Fred can go to the Shell Shack and see the talking dog. Remember how creepy the original Squidward head was? Not only was the head shape off, but I have no idea why they made him smile when he's typically frowning. Despite it not working well for normal Squidward, I think it translated decently well for handsome Squidward. Honestly, I did this because I was too lazy to make a new mold for his head, plus I feel like this would be the route they would actually take. Since there's no Treedome set, I included Treedome Sandy in this line. Some people have made their own interpretation of this design, so I thought it would be nice if they released an official one. The final minifigure I've included is the I'm a Head Out SpongeBob, since he's also a pretty popular meme. It's even included on one of my pairs of socks. Not sure if the chair would fit in the box/bag, but I felt like it would feel off without it. So if it doesn't fit, then downsizing it might be a good alternative. Now that I went over all the minifigures I've included in this line, here's some honorable mentions that I've left out or ran out of room for. Pinhead Patrick. Although I think he would translate perfectly as a LEGO minifigure, since someone else already created one and sold it, I felt like doing something unique. William Fancy Zone. I wouldn't be against this idea, especially since Mega Bloks included him in one of their CMFs. I just don't know if they'd actually go with him due to him practically being dead in the show itself. Larry the Lobster. I was originally going to put him in here, but due to running out of room, plus being unsure if he'd fit, I gave him a dedicated set instead. Mocking SpongeBob. Although Nick loves this meme to death, I simply don't think he would translate well as a minifigure, cause although it would look decent in the front, it would simply feel off to have the beak be flat. And I highly doubt LEGO would make a new SpongeBob head shape just for this meme. Pearl Krabs. I would be all for Pearl getting minifigure rep, since neither LEGO or Mega Bloks has included her. But I felt like the picks I've made would have had a higher chance of being featured. Perhaps she could be in a CMF2 or a Gal Pals themed set. Bubble Buddy. I didn't include him since he would just be a clear minifigure, which I thought would have been lame. So that was my idea for a LEGO SpongeBob comeback. I unfortunately don't think this will happen anytime soon, but maybe we'll get something similar or even better in the future. What do you guys think of these ideas? Which location/characters would you include? Should I make a part 2 to this video? Comment below. And as always, it's all Sab from here. Hello random person, Sab Nino here. I recently got this new camera setup so you don't have to look at my ugly face anymore. For a while on this channel, I've been doing polls of like what you guys wanted to see, and one of the options was the not LEGO Krusty Krab. And guess what? It came in the mail today. The first thing I noticed is that there is no box to this. When I was looking for this online, I was trying to go for the cheapest option, and I didn't realize that it didn't come with a box. But that's okay, as long as everything is intact. Let's open this bad boy. I am hoping there is instructions. Good news, it comes with instructions. So I'm pretty hyped for this. So let's get started.
The next day.
So I was originally going to speed build this on camera, but unfortunately this took like 2 days to build, so I thought just having it complete right here would be a better use of my time than filming every single part of it, especially since there were parts of this build that were a bitch to put together. But before we get to the Krusty Krab itself, I do want to showcase a few things. First off, the instructions come in 2 parts. This one is for the interior and this one's for the exterior, and it comes with a bunch of stuff before the instructions. A lot of it is in, is this Japanese? Chinese? I actually don't know. I'm guessing it's Chinese. So unfortunately, I do not know what any of this says, but it just showcases a lot of the features in this Krusty Krab playset, and some of the other smaller sets that it includes as well. If you guys would be interested in me taking a look at these, feel free to comment below. Then there's a QR code, and then it's just the instructions. It also came with this. It just says, "Welcome to Krusty Krab." I find it really funny how it isn't really grammatically correct. Also, I love how everything's just brush shaded, and then we just have these 2 background fish that just have no shading whatsoever, just sticking out like a sore thumb. There's like instructions that I can't read because I can't read Chinese, and it comes with a VIP card, which I think is really cool. Just an official seal of approval. With all that being said, let's take a look at the minifigures. First off, we have SpongeBob. I say they translated him pretty well. It's not the most detailed figure out there. I think that title goes to the Mega Bloks one, but it has its own little charm to it. It's kind of weird how he has like a frying pan instead of a spatula, but other than that, I say this is pretty well handled. I do wish they had spare shoes. I almost lost these shoes. I almost accepted the fact that he was just going to be a shoeless SpongeBob, which would suck because this set was expensive. Next up, we have Patrick. He looks a little wonky, but that's okay. They still did a really good job with him. We also have Squidward. First off, it's weird that SpongeBob has a Krusty Krab hat, but Squidward doesn't, and there's not even like a hole to put something there. I wish they gave him a hat, since he does work there too. These hands were a pain to get into the torso, especially since the sleeve and the arm are two separate pieces. So it took a lot of trial and error. It was very specific. If you ever get this, expect to have a hard time with him. We have Mr. Krabs. I say he was also translated pretty well. It's weird how this kind of extends like outside of the shirt. I don't know what that's about. Also, these are technically the wrong color. They still did a good job. Lastly, we just have two background fish. The blue one looks pretty sussy. What is he hiding? Does he have like a hidden smut folder that I should know about? Okay, that's all the minifigures, so let's take a look at some of the accessories. Here's the dumpster. Surprisingly, there is no dumpster writing. I'm surprised there wasn't even a sticker that you can put on where it just says Squidward smells. The instructions say to put Patrick in the dumpster, which I think is really funny because he is often seen in the dumpster in the show. Infamously about to eat a dirty diaper. It also comes with two trash bags. Here is the enter side. Here is a boatmobile. I'm pretty disappointed that this part doesn't spin. I have tried like moving it in so many different ways to make it spin, but unfortunately it just doesn't spin, and I think that sucks. But you can spin the wheels and stuff, so at least there's that. And lastly, the Krusty Krab sign. It's pretty huge. Though I never understood this. I don't know, it just looks very off to me. I know it was in the original LEGO Ideas set, but I think some later builds did a better job of capturing the shell shape. But that's a pretty minor nitpick, and I say overall they did a pretty good job with it. Okay, enough stalling. Let's talk about the Krusty Krab itself. Exterior-wise, it looks phenomenal. It is very, very show accurate. Though I will say it's weird that the flags are built. I appreciate them utilizing the medium of building bricks, but I'm pretty sure the actual Krusty Krab signs don't have this much dimension to them. Here is the side of the Krusty Krab. I am surprised this wasn't a huge pain in the ass to build, but thankfully, even though it was tedious and repetitive, it wasn't that hard to put together at all. The only downside I have to the exterior is the back. It's meant to look like the back of the Krusty Krab, but it just feels unfinished. It looks bad. There's not even a door here. I don't know. I think this is the aspect where the LEGO Idea sets definitely do a better job. Now that we looked at the outside, let's look at the inside. Out of all the interiors of any Krusty Krab set, this one is easily the best one. It has the floorboards, it has the grill, it has a bathroom, it has Mr. Krabs' office. A lot of sets don't even have these elements. A lot of them just have the grill and the cash register, the most iconic part, and like a few tables, but here, it pretty much has everything. They even updated the Krabby Patty designs, which is definitely very interesting. I think this is meant to be a Krabby Double Deluxe, but in the windows it also comes with a miniature Krabby Patty. So are these meant to be the regular patties, or is this one meant to be the regular patty? One thing I thought was pretty odd was that they included Sandy's Krabby Patty from the Krabby Patty Creature feature, the new and improved patty that turned everyone into zombies. Because I highly doubt after that incident that Mr. Krabs would ever sell these again. I don't know, maybe he secretly wants a zombie apocalypse. Also, I just want to say, putting this together was a huge pain in the ass. Because the piece that was meant to connect those together just wasn't working. And for the longest time while building this, they weren't even properly connected. It wasn't until I put these together that they actually stuck. And even with that said, I had to go off instruction in order to place them in a way where this crease would fit together. It's not that big of a deal because the order doesn't really matter as long as it does its job, and in this case it does do its job really well, but it still sucks that I even had to do that. The bathroom only has one toilet and for whatever reason it doesn't have a sink. But there is a sink in SpongeBob's grill, which is bizarre because I highly doubt Mr. Krabs allows the Krusty Krab customers to use SpongeBob's sink. There is, I believe, either a patty or a burner on the grill, and a green version of Sandy's patty from Krabby Patty Creature feature. They're really experimenting with the Krabby Patty colors, which is fascinating. Also, Mr. Krabs' office, it's just Mr. Krabs' office. It's interesting how they built the safe. I think I've seen this chair look better in the LEGO Ideas set, but it does its job well. But for whatever reason, Mr. Krabs just flat out can't sit in it due to how small the room is. If Mr. Krabs had ball joints in his arms, it probably would be a different story, but he doesn't. It's LEGO articulation. Also, I couldn't really curve like the flags here. I've tried, but for whatever reason it just wouldn't do it for me. Also, another cool tidbit about this set, there is a skill crane. Like, obviously it's not a working skill crane, but it's still really cool that's there. It even comes with Barry from that episode. So this is very hard to see. It's even hard to access. But there is a little attic area over here, and we have a little Plankton. This doesn't want to focus, but just imagine Plankton like with that one face from the stock art. For whatever reason, his eyebrow is on the green piece, which is bizarre. I'm gonna be real, I'm surprised they went with the Lego method instead of making a molded piece like Mega Bloks does. Another tidbit that I find really cool is that not only does Plankton come as a minifigure, but it comes with an extra floorboard with Plankton just squished, and you can legit replace one of the tiles with this one. Also, the sticker system is very weird because instead of just placing the stickers on, you press them down and then you peel them. And I didn't know that at first. And it is the most noticeable here. Unfortunately, it is very hard to see, but there is a Flying Dutchman in here, and I accidentally ripped it in half. But the way it's placed was pretty seamless, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't even know why the Flying Dutchman is in the freezer. We also have the Krabby Patty sign from the Krusty Krab training video, the one SpongeBob creepily licks. We have Mr. Krabs' first dollar. We have the Galley Grub. We have Mr. Krabs' thermostat from Krabs a la Mode. And we have that one employee chart from Restraining SpongeBob. These are some pretty deep cut references, and I madly appreciate that. Though there is one reference that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's very hard to see, but there's like a ketchup and mustard bottle here. The ketchup bottle is the volcanic hot sauce Sandy uses to torture SpongeBob and karate choppers, and the mustard is flat out mayonnaise. They're cool references, but I don't really think they make much sense in this context. Also, while recording this, I'm kind of noticing an issue. It is very hard to access a lot of the stuff in the interior other than the whole restaurant area. Anything back here is very hard to see to the point where it's very hard to showcase some of the references, which really sucks for a video like this because I want to showcase them all, but unfortunately it's hard to do. So I don't know. I wish there was a way to just remove this piece, but unfortunately there isn't. So a little bit more customability would be really cool, especially for people who would want to do stop motion with this. But as it stands, it's a good display piece.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So when trying to close this, the front half just randomly decided to break on itself, so I had to spend a couple of minutes rebuilding this. And that just proves my point on one of the downsides with this set. It is very fragile. Oh, and one last cool feature, it lights up. There are legit lights that you can use to give the Krusty Krab a little bit of a night scene during the evening. Since it is like 12 o'clock right now, that's very hard to showcase, but it definitely looks really cool, and I really appreciate how the light switch isn't that distracting. It's just a tiny switch. I will say though, I was very afraid of hooking it up. I was afraid with the way it was built that I would have just broken it on accident. Also, the downside about this light system, there is an obvious wire just sticking out. I get it with this type of system, but I wish there was a better way to include it. So unfortunately, I don't have the Lego Krusty Krab for comparison, but this is definitely better than the first Krusty Krab, because even though the exterior looks pretty decent, the interior was pretty bare bones and only had like one table, and the cash register and stuff was only like a little separation thing, and Mr. Krabs' office didn't really have much to it and wasn't accurate either. Plus, the safe was in the wrong location. Krusty Krab Adventure set was even worse, cause that one barely even tried with the interior. All it had was a register, a tiny little grill, and the table was just a separate thing. And it wasn't even accurate either. The little antenna thing was just a flag instead, and the Krusty Krab sign was put in the wrong place, so that really fucking sucked. However, I do have the Mega Bloks Krusty Krab for comparison, which in terms of accuracy, I think does a lot better than the Lego version. The sign looks cool, though it does have like a weird thing where it like drops down on you. This is a pretty old set, so it's kind of falling apart at the seams, and it had like a few broken pieces, so I can't really do the falling mechanic without breaking the sign. Also, this flag is inaccurate, but that's solely because of the way it opens up. It also has this antenna, which the Lego versions just flat out didn't have, along with this flag. And the interior, even though it definitely tries, isn't as expansive compared to this massive big boy right here. But there's the register, it has the doors. The grill isn't really that accurate, but it has like a decent mechanic. It unfortunately broke. I don't remember how, but it has like a patty launcher and stuff. I also own the Snap and Switch Krusty Krab. I tried finding it for this video, but unfortunately, whenever I need something, I just can't find it. But if you want to see that one, I'd highly recommend my not Lego video of the other sets. I can safely say this is infinitely better than the Snap and Switch, because that one was just a cheap piece of shit. And this just proves that the stuff we get overseas is a lot better than what we have in the US. This Krusty Krab looks phenomenal. Easily the best Krusty Krab I have in my collection. Even though there were a lot of areas that were hard to build, and even though it always breaks on itself, if you can manage to put this together and keep it sturdy, then I say it's definitely worth it. If it's in your price range, I highly recommend it. It's on AliExpress. But if this isn't in your price range, there are some cheaper alternatives by the same people, and maybe if you're interested in those, I might get some of them, because this definitely won me over. Maybe in the future we'll get more stuff like this. Wouldn't it be cool if they had like a Conch Street? I know there was a Lego Idea set of Conch Street that was not approved, and as of the time of me recording this, the recent attempt at a Lego Ideas Krusty Krab is still in review, so I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm not keeping my hopes up. And my best advice is, if you really want a good equivalent to the Lego Ideas Krusty Krab, I would go with this, because it's definitely inspired by it, but it does its own thing on top of that. So not so long ago in the video, I brought up my Snap and Switch, not Lego SpongeBob video, where I cover all the Snap and Switch sets. However, the reason why I'm bringing this up again is because in that video, there was a set that didn't come out when I was recording it, and I thought just making a separate video wouldn't be a good use of my time, so I thought I'd just do it here instead. Maybe even include it as a YouTube short if you guys would be interested in that. But here's the recent Snap and Switch Sandy's Rocket. Unlike the Patrick thing of not including his rock and instead including a bus, which I think is pretty stupid, Sandy's rocket makes sense because I can imagine the tree dome being a huge pain in the ass to build, because not even Lego or Mega Bloks have made an equivalent of that. I am not going to sugarcoat it, this looks bad. There are obvious pieces sticking out. Also, for whatever reason, the Sandy minifigure isn't based on the Mega Bloks ones. Everyone else was based on Mega Bloks, but Sandy here looks more like a Lego figure. Also, for some reason, they don't give her a tail. They don't even print a tail on her. Also, I hate how the flower is a sticker, because this is very, very easy to lose. Just have it printed. Would it be so hard to just print a flower? Come on. The interior is just what you expect from Snap and Switch. It does slightly better than the other ones, but it's just okay. Also, the main issue I have with the set, it is very fragile. This has broken on me like so many times, so you definitely have to be careful with this one. It is the most fragile out of all the sets. Why do SpongeBob sets keep reminding me that these things spin and not being able to do a good spin? Come on, the Lego sets could spin these, why can't these? So overall, this sucks. I would definitely recommend the Lego version of Sandy's rocket over this. It's a lot pricier, but at least it does the job well. And that was my unscripted review of the Area X not Lego Krusty Krab set. Out of what I've shown you, what do you think of it? Do you think it looks good? Do you think it looks bad? Feel free to comment below. And let me know if you plan or already have this set, because I definitely want to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching, and it's all Sab from here. Hello random person, Sab Nino here. Welcome back to, I believe, episode 6 of Sab Merch Odyssey. And boy oh boy, I have been dying to make this video. Today we're going to be opening up the Area X SpongeBob Pineapple set. However, just like most episodes of Sab Merch Odyssey, I'm going to be showing off some other stuff I got since then. For instance, probably one of my favorite items in my collection, something I lovingly call the Nickmas tree. I used to own this tree when I was very, very little, like 4 to 5 years old. So having this in my collection, honestly, it makes me really happy. Unfortunately, it came out in January and not December, so it's a little out of season, but Casper was able to convince me to just have it on display for a little bit. And, well, it's a nice display piece, especially since it's very hard to find. It came with a box as well. For whatever reason, someone drew SpongeBob with bloodshot eyes, but it's the same print on the backside, so that one's thankfully safe. But this is the Toys R Us exclusive item, which makes me feel old. Even though Toys R Us is still around, that still makes me feel old because it's definitely not as big as it was when I was a kid. The only thing that's missing are the 6 bubble balls that are shown on the box. But one thing I appreciate that the seller did is to replace them. They actually gave me a shit ton of extra ornaments. For instance, the original only came with 4 SpongeBobs and 1 Patrick. Well, now I have 2 Patricks, 1 Squidward, 1 Sandy, and 1 Mr. Krabs. It also came with 4 other SpongeBobs, but they were just smaller versions of the ones that came with the Nickmas tree, so I didn't feel the need to hang them up. I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll get my own ornaments for this tree, but I feel like it would be a little imbalanced given that all the ornaments are small, and this isn't the size of a usual Christmas tree. It's like a nicer Charlie Brown tree. This is the Charlie Brown tree once everyone gave it the care it deserved. Now that I showed off the Nickmas tree, let's talk about the Area X pineapple. First off, it came with this. Basically just a card of approval, I think. I have no idea what this does. It says play in now, and here's a thing that says welcome to Pineapple House, which is grammarly incorrect. It should say welcome to the Pineapple House or welcome to SpongeBob's Pineapple House, but oh well. And I tried scanning this QR code because AliExpress actually shipped this in 2 bags. and I thought this QR code would have been the instructions, but unfortunately it wasn't, so I had to wait. So my pineapple for a while was just a husk. I was able to build the minifigures early, but yeah, this is, I believe, where you can win stuff. And I don't even think this QR code even works in the US because it showed like some sort of messenger app. But I do like how this looks, it's cute. Also, unlike the Area X Krusty Krab, this only came with one set of instructions, as you'll see in a minute, but I do like the pineapple packaging, really cute. I'm sorry if my voice kind of cracks and stuff. I had a strep throat for a while, and I'm still kind of recovering from that, so yeah. I just noticed this, but this is a reference to the episode Unreal Estate. If you're a fan of the channel, you definitely know that episode because of the theme song parodies. I have no idea what any of this says, but I like the Squidward silhouette. It shows all the features. Probably shouldn't be showcasing any of this, but it shows these. They're apparently called SpongeBob Wonder Dreams. I kind of want those. These are the good friends SpongeBob and Patrick. I've seen like videos of these and they look really cute. I know for the 25th anniversary, a bunch of artists from all over the world draw their own interpretation of SpongeBob, and I think this is one of them. Because in some episodes of Comfort Cartoons, I have seen these on different products, and they're really cute. Here's the Area X Krusty Krab, which I've already talked about on this channel. These four were on the Area X Krusty Krab. However, since then, they've actually extended this set of good friends from 4 to 8, where they have a Secret Krusty Krab, which is a reference to Band in Bikini Bottom, the Chum Bucket. I really love that Karen, Mr. Krabs' Anchor, and Sandy's Freedom, which is really cool because I didn't think we'd ever get a Sandy figure. One thing I also appreciate about this one in particular is how it gives you an option to both have Sandy in her suit and her Treedom attire, so it's also very versatile. More versatile than any figurine of Sandy ever. Also, just like with Lego SpongeBob and Mega Bloks SpongeBob, I love how expressive a lot of these figures are. You don't get the same SpongeBob twice. That's awesome. I think we have finally reached the interesting parts of the instructions, so enough stalling, let's discuss the pineapple. Okay, correction, there's going to be a little bit more stalling because I'm going to show off the minifigures first. So here is the SpongeBob figure. Oh cool, I just noticed. SpongeBob actually has a little bit of side printing there. That's neat. I wish that was the same with his side and top holes, especially since the Snap and Switch and the Mega Bloks ones do that too. But he's still cute. The only downside is that he is very similar to the Krusty Krab one. Here's the Krusty Krab for comparison. They're very similar faces, not identical, and honestly I might like the pineapple one better, but they are very similar, and I wish they gave SpongeBob like a different face. It's not that big of a deal. It would be nice to have a little bit of variety. Here's Patrick. I really like Patrick's shape in the Area X sets, and this is the Krusty Krab one for comparison. I will say that Patrick's face does share a slightly different expression, so it does do a little bit better than SpongeBob, though I don't get why his mouth is so big. What's up with that? It's kind of creepy. But I do actually like this Patrick a lot better. It reflects more Patrick as a character and looks less dead compared to this one. Next up is Squidward, who they actually tried giving a new expression to. However, there's kind of an issue with that, because as you can see, he's smiling, but his mouth is permanently frowning. Like, the base shape of his head gives him a permanent frown, so it looks kind of creepy. I like how Mega Bloks handles this, where they give Squidward's head shape, like that part of Squidward's head, like a more neutral pose, so they can give whatever mouth they want. They even make it bigger so he can open his mouth. So I say if they wanted to do that, they should have gone that route, but I do appreciate them giving Squidward a new expression, because as you can see in the Krusty Krab set, he's doing the thing, that one stock art pose that you see on just about every piece of stock art ever. Well, this one reflects the smiling Squidward stock art that is also very common, but not as common as this one. I might like this one better though, solely due to the frown, matching the frown sculpt better, but I do like the attempt at least. I knew we'd get this face eventually. The infamous stock art Mr. Krabs. He still looks really good though, and they've actually made like a pretty big improvement to this. Because in the Krusty Krab set, I mentioned how these are the same color as this shell, but here they made them slightly darker, so good job Area X, you've actually improved upon yourself. I say both of them are exactly the same quality, so I don't have many complaints. I guess it is weird that Mr. Krabs' nose is so thick, but that's like very, very minor. And the most interesting addition, we got our first Sandy, and she looks great. This might be one of my favorite Sandys out of like the buildable sets, especially since they've actually done something that no other buildable Sandy has done. Her flower. Well, okay. Mega Bloks does include her flower, and Snap and Switch does it, but as a sticker, which is stupid. But here, it's actually a physical piece. It does kind of go through the helmet, but that's okay. And one thing I found really interesting is the way you actually build it. So in most Sandys, you typically have to put her head in first, then wrap the helmet on. However, here, you actually have to put Sandy's head in the helmet, and then you place it down like so. Personally, I don't think the order really matters, but it is a very interesting choice. Also, one thing I do want to add is that there's actually two versions of the pineapple. There's the common version that you can get for cheaper, and there's the ultimate version. I got the ultimate version, and the main reason why I'm saying this is because Sandy is not in the common version, neither is the figure coming up. It only comes with SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs. Which, personally, if I were to be in charge of that, I would have replaced Mr. Krabs with Sandy, because I think she's definitely much more fitting for a set themed around SpongeBob's house, because, like, does Mr. Krabs really have a reason to be there? Unless it was, like, a party or something work prices related. Anyway, let's get to our last figure. This random guy, or should I say random person, because that's my catchphrase. I had one job and I blew it. But yeah, you just get this random fish. I don't know why. What's he doing at SpongeBob's house? Is he meant to be Perch Perkins? Because he doesn't really look like Perch. But he has a suit, so I'm guessing he's some sort of news reporter. And he has a similar color to the movie Perch Perkins, or Perch without makeup. But he looks very similar to this customer from the Krusty Krab. And just like that fish, he looks like he's hiding shit. But one thing I just noticed, I think I forgot to point out, is that there's leg articulation on the fish, but not on the characters. I wonder what's up with that. Because personally, if I were to do this for consistency, I wouldn't give them leg articulation. Kind of like what Mega Bloks did with all their background fish. Because trust me, there are a ton of background fish in Mega Bloks SpongeBob. Almost too many. But okay, enough minifigure talk. Let's discuss this base. This base is the bane of my existence. I had to rebuild it twice and had to fix it like 6 to 5 times. Because no matter what, parts of this kept breaking. And it reaches a point where I wish this was just one piece, because for a base, it should be very sturdy. You know, when I was talking about the Area X Krusty Krab, I did get one comment saying that that one point where part of the Krusty Krab broke was kind of suspicious, and they questioned as to if I had anger issues. And the answer is, I don't. Though if I actually recorded me trying to fix this over and over, you would definitely think that I did. But the honest truth is, at least in my experience, other people might have a different experience to me. Certain sections of Area X are just very hard to put together because there's a lot of Technic pieces for this thing to spin. So you have to balance these pieces with those and trying to make sure everything is in place. I'm still afraid of this breaking on me. But enough about my incompetence as a builder. One other addition I appreciate about the Ultimate Edition is all the Easter eggs. The only one that doesn't make sense to me is this enter sign, because why would SpongeBob own an enter sign? That's the Krusty Krab's thing. It also comes with a bubble stand. because of course. Another thing I find really cool are the jellyfish, because like they come in all shapes and sizes in the set. Like we have the big jellyfish here, which uses the seaweed pieces for the tentacles. There's the chef hat jellyfish, which makes me really nostalgic for Lego SpongeBob. And probably my personal favorite, these smaller ones. They're so cute. They're like little baby octopi. If anything, I wish this came with more jellyfish because they're really cute. But there's also this jellyfish, which is zapping, which is also a nice touch. There's these bikini bottom buildings. They're a little fragile, but that's okay. They're easy to fix, unlike the base itself. But it's a nice touch because, well, on Con Street, there's typically a bunch of those like in the background. I also like the greenery. For instance, this coral formation. I know I've used this exact piece in Lego Jellyfish Fields in that Lego SpongeBob comeback. Oh, and the clams are really cute, and they open up. You know, in Lego SpongeBob, I'm surprised they didn't introduce any clams, because the only time I've seen Lego SpongeBob use this piece is for boating school chairs, but it's whatever. Also, this isn't an issue with this set, but just kind of something I've questioned about the show itself. We have a prominent sea star character, but despite this, there is sea star greenery. An example I can think of off the top of my head is Saving Bikini Bottom, but it might be the case in Sponge on the Run, but that never made any sense to me. Are there fish in Bikini Bottom that are more affected by Neptune's moon than others? That's my only guess. Also, despite the shape, this is not Patrick's Rock. I'll actually show off this feature right now. So this Patrick's Rock looking thing is actually a spinner, so you can spin around the pineapple. Oh, one thing I also forgot to bring up is SpongeBob's Place sign. It lights up. But one thing I've always found interesting about this, like once I found the screenshots, is that this pineapple is one solid shape. Like, does it look great? Oh, absolutely. It has working windows. It has a working door. It's kind of blocked by the greenery. This is a nitpick, but this whole section of the door should not open. Also, I wish this spun. I don't know. I like the spinny spins. A part of me sort of wishes that you can build the exterior, but maybe for the sake of simplicity and for my wallet's sake, maybe it's best that they didn't do that. The only other downside I have is the chimney looks a little small, but that's a huge nitpick. Go away, base. Feck you. Get out of here. You are not loved. Oh, and another thing I'll say about the base, in the regular version, you don't get any of the Easter eggs. You don't get the bubble stand. You don't get the SpongeBob's Place sign. I don't even think you get the jellyfish. It's just a plain base, so. I'm just saying this for, like, all the people who are legit considering buying this, because I feel like that is very important to know when deciding, because I don't want people to buy the normal edition and then, like, realize last minute that, oh, there's a better version. Why didn't I get that one? Which I almost did. But here's the exterior. Here's SpongeBob's living room. It comes with SpongeBob's iconic chair, which is really good. TV is at a weird angle, but it makes sense for the build. And you get this fish. I kind of wish we had that like fish hook decoration over there. Or wait, this should have been over here and a fish hook should have been over there, but it's not that big of a deal. But I will say, I wish there was a way to make this wall blue, like in the show. But knowing Area X, I feel like if they did that, then it would probably be a very obnoxious sticker. So maybe that's the reason why they didn't do that. Oh, speaking of stickers, I still struggle with those, which you'll see in a minute. But one thing I don't understand is that some of the sand pieces are printed, but some you have to apply with stickers. So why not make all of them printed? It would be a lot easier since the pieces of the stickers are so tiny. They're kind of like you stick them on, then you peel them, and a lot of those little dots kept like falling off no matter how much I applied pressure to them. But maybe that's a skill issue. We also got SpongeBob's gym. Oh, there's also these spinny things to display your characters on. However, you can't do this when you're gonna close up the pineapple because they'll just fall off. And it's kind of hard to see, but like these are much lower than these, so these will fall off. But it comes with a punching bag, it comes with this I Heart Pain, and of course it comes with the iconic stuffed animal weights. I have no idea what this is though. If anyone knows what this is, please comment below, because I have no idea. I thought at first it was the personal robot assistant that SpongeBob gave Patrick in the gift of gum, but the design doesn't really reflect that. My other guess is a scale, because there's a little like odometer there. It's just nearly impossible to see unless you look at it really close up. And here's the kitchen, and off the bat, I adore the salt shakers, because they're like attached on a little string, which sort of scared me because I was afraid I was gonna have to tie them onto the salt shakers, but no tying is required, so that was nice. The one thing I don't understand is Gary on the door. Why is he on this door when he's up here? He's up here, so that's unnecessary. Same with Patrick in the door. He's in the set. It's less of a big deal, but you can close it, so you can easily hide it, but this still kind of sucks. Also, as you can see here, the sticker broke, because like there's actually an issue with these types of stickers. It accidentally stuck in the wrong location, and I was trying to get it off, but it ended up peeling off, and I couldn't get it off. I couldn't fix it. So unfortunately, it looks like he's going, "Here's Johnny." Also, for whatever reason, the kitchen is the biggest location of the pineapple. I wonder why that is. It still looks really cool though. And we get a little plankton, which does make a lot of sense given that there are Krabby Patties. Maybe that's why Mr. Krabs is in the set. And there's also this box, which comes with a bunch of cleaning stuff. I just put them in here because I didn't know what else to do with them, and the instructions didn't say what you're supposed to do with them. So it's cool that there's storage space. And in SpongeBob's bedroom, you get a treasure chest. It comes with money and a diamond. Now I definitely understand why Mr. Krabs is in here. SpongeBob, I hope you have a key for this. Also, this is kind of random, but there's actually a charger port of all things. I can't use this on my phone because, first off, I'm using my phone to record this, and second, the end of my phone charger is a USB, so it wouldn't even fit. But SpongeBob's bedroom does look really cool, like the diving board. It's interesting how they featured the most useless character in SpongeBob, Shelly. Seriously, this character serves nothing. I'm currently playing the SpongeBob movie PC game, and they actually pointed out how he flew away. And in some Sponge on the Run concept art, when they were designing SpongeBob's bedroom, there was one piece of concept art where they replace him with a lantern. That's how useless he is. So that's one element of SpongeBob that I never understood. Why does SpongeBob have a clam when nobody on the show gives him any stories? Speaking of Gary, he looks pretty good. He does look a little clunky, but I do like a lot of the piece usage. Like, they actually printed on the slime trail, which is also a really cool addition. I think the only downside is kind of like the clunkiness, the chunkiness of the shell, and I wish his eyes were bigger, though I do like the reference to Lego SpongeBob with the cherry piece, intentional or not. There's also this hole, which has always been in SpongeBob's room, but no one knows where it goes to. This set implies that it drops you to the kitchen, but this doesn't have a stairway like in the show, so this replica isn't accurate. Oh, and since we're in SpongeBob's bedroom, this also lights up. Just like the Krusty Krab, it lights up, and for the most part, they actually hide the strands decently well. People have told me that I probably built the Krusty Krab wrong, and that's the reason why the wires were very noticeable. I don't know, eventually I might go back to the instructions, but here, they're hidden really well. And for our last location, the bathroom and the library. The library doesn't have much to showcase. It does have a few notable books, like this one on London bridges, which is an interesting choice. They're all kind of crammed in here. No, one piece fell off. You know what, since I'm fixing the library anyway, might as well show off the other book Easter eggs. There's this one that just says heads. It just says head, and it shows like this tiny little guy. And it has this Friends Forever book, which is an iconic reference to Dying for Pie, which is one of my personal favorite episodes. Okay, I am back. Anyway, the library doesn't have much to offer, but I do appreciate its inclusion. Though I don't get why there's Kelpo and like Gary's food in here. This is the can of Snail Po from I Was a Teenage Gary, and here's SpongeBob's bathroom. Unfortunately, due to the way this was built, this wall is brown, which is inaccurate to the show, but that's okay. It comes with a rubber ducky, and down here, this is a reference to Truth or Square, where SpongeBob gets absorbed, goes through the ringer, and goes into there. It's kind of hard to explain, so I'll probably show footage of it. Speaking of which, I'm surprised this doesn't come with his ringer. I know in the normal edition, they exclude the library and just show SpongeBob's bathroom. Or at least that's what I'm assuming. I'll show a photo of it if that's the case. But if that's the case, which I'm assuming it is, does it include the ringer there? Oh, and this actually has a play feature. You can launch people out of the bathtub. It's really cute. Unnecessary, but I like it a lot. Oh, and one thing I almost forgot to point out, there's actually a piece in this set that came broken. This one. I'm pretty sure it came like this. Like, it's not that big of an issue. I hope everyone who gets this set has better luck than I did. Also, there was a piece that I remember that actually looked dirty, but thankfully, I was able to hide it, so it's not that big of a deal, and it's not like it was gross. It just looked like it was like spray painted or something. It didn't feel like anything, like it didn't feel like ketchup or anything like that, but that still felt like important to note. But I don't think that's like any issue on Area X's end. Something I completely forgot to mention, this comes with a roof. So the miscolored Gary's food bowl, it's like the stock art where it's purple, which I guess makes sense, but it's not accurate. Also, why isn't it down here or in the living room or even in the kitchen? It's something minor, but still just something I'd point out. Actually, I'm gonna turn this off for the sake of battery preservation. Another thing I completely forgot to bring up, there's some Easter eggs on the back of SpongeBob's house. Comes with a frying pan for some reason. I don't know why that's there. There's also a trash bag, which does make more sense. And it comes with a mat, which has a little key, which is a nice reference to SpongeBob's house party. Though I will say, I wish the mat itself says ahoy for no reason other than the fact that in the white label era of SpongeBob merchandise, there was always a Nick Knowledge section where it just says that SpongeBob's mat says ahoy. Now, let's compare it to some stuff. Okay, the first comparison is the Mega Bloks SpongeBob set Bad Neighbors of the pineapple itself. Though it probably has one of my least favorite interiors. It's just, it doesn't have anything. There's literally nothing. All it really has is this thing where you can put SpongeBob in and like launch jellyfish. That was something that Mega Bloks was like obsessed with, launching jellyfish. Oh, speaking of which, I really do not like how the jellyfish were rubber, because this is falling apart at the seams. It did not age well. So in terms of exterior, I might like this one better than this, solely because you can build it, but this one is more accurate. I don't know. Both of them are really different. And unfortunately, I don't have the Lego SpongeBobs to compare it to. However, if I were to compare this to any Lego SpongeBob set, it would be Good Neighbors at Bikini Bottom. It basically has almost everything that you'd want from a Lego SpongeBob set. Plus, it's also a set that only features the pineapple. Which makes sense because I'm sure if this had Squidward's and Patrick's houses, it would be kind of overpriced. And for the last and probably fitting comparison, the Jim R pineapple. I covered this a long time ago, and unfortunately since then, it has not aged the greatest. But it has a similar premise of a molded pineapple shape, mostly built leaves, and an interior. I say out of all the like interiors of all the sets, of all the pineapple, I say I'd probably put this one in second place and this one at number 1. But the main downside with this one is just how fragile it is. I don't like it. Once I figure out a way to reposition stuff, I will definitely be replacing this with this, because this is just a better display piece in every way, especially since this one has seen better days. And for the smaller Jamor set that I've also covered, and the Snap and Switch SpongeBob pineapples, I'll be real, I don't know where they are right now, and to add on to that, I don't even think they're good enough to be compared to this. They're just tiny, affordable pineapples compared to this not so affordable, better quality one. I would compare it to the Area X Krusty Krab, but, well, this green screen is kind of cluttered right now, so I'll just leave it here. I might like the Area X Krusty Krab a little better, solely because you can build the exterior. Plus, it gave me less issues. I think the only issue I remember having is one set of pieces that just won't go down, no matter how hard I try to connect them. While I was here, I had to fix this base 6 or 7 times and probably more. It is super fragile. But if you are a big SpongeBob fan and wanting something to fill that Lego SpongeBob void that all of us have been experiencing, then first off, watch my What If Lego SpongeBob Had a Comeback video, and maybe consider getting the set, because I think this is as good as it's gonna get for a while. I say out of all the modern SpongeBob building sets, I think Area X has been doing the best job. The main downside is some pieces not clicking, and the fact that it's a China exclusive. Why can't this be in the US? Like, I'm happy I'm able to, like, order them online, but still a little sad. But what do you think of this pineapple? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you mixed on it? Comment below. Also, I'm curious on if Area X is gonna do a big set again, or if they're gonna stick to the smaller sets now. Would they build Squidward's house? Would they make Squidward's and Patrick's house? I feel like if they did do that, they would have to combine the two, or leave Patrick evicted. But I don't know, would they do that? I'm really curious on what big set they would do. Because, like, I know there's, like, a bunch of smaller sets based on certain key locations of the show. But, well, they made 2 pineapple ones, as you saw in the instructions, so that didn't stop them from making this pineapple. But this is where I'm going to wrap things up when it comes to the Area X pineapple house. If you only came here for the pineapple, then you can just go. But if you want to see all the other stuff in my collection, then feel free to stick around. There's a ton of SpongeBob stuff. Okay, the first non-Area X thing I'm gonna showcase is something that is very thin. I went back to Miniso and got one of these Jamora mystery things. I've already opened this, so I'm just gonna show you what was inside. It just came with this little build based on the episode Enchanted Tiki Dreams. I'm pretty sure this is the exact or a similar outfit to the one he wore in there. I don't like how his feet don't show there though. It just looks like he has very long pants. Unfortunately, there's not much here, but I wasn't expecting much if I'm being honest. I just thought it'd be just a cute little side build to do. But I think the bigger sets are better. Plus, you can fit them in here, which is very convenient. Next up is something that I find really, really cool. I found this Flying Dutchman at Box Lunch. You know, I always think about, like, what niche characters have gotten a plush and what haven't. Like how Pearl and Mrs. Puff are, like, impossible to get right now. And the only Larry the Lobster is, like, $100. And there's no Karen listing either. All of the Gal Pals are, like, gone. Just wiped out of existence. When I was talking about this with Casper, we kept saying how, like, a Flying Dutchman plush would be really cool. But we didn't expect anything to happen until Search for SquarePants comes out, which does happen at the very end of this year, so I'm hella excited. But I wasn't expecting them to make a Flying Dutchman plush until then. Because you know, with the theatrical movies, they will go all out. But this is a cute Dutchman plush. It's really neat. It's probably the best Flying Dutchman anything right now. It is interesting how he's holding a little SpongeBob, though I kind of wish it was a Velcro instead. But it's still cute, though I don't really understand his ghostly tail. It kind of looks like a bump. Typically in the show, it's like straight, so I don't get it. But other than that, this is a great translation of the Dutchman in plush form. Speaking of plushes, another character that never got a plush until now, Bubble Bass. This is my very first U2's item. What an interesting start. I've seen a lot of these plushes at Spencer's. I must say, the Plankton plush is so uncharacteristically cute, but Bubble Bass is translated decently well. He is permanently sitting, and this part isn't that comfortable to hold, but I think these are more like display plushes and less cuddle plushes. He's like crossing his arms. I only really have 2 critiques with this. First off, his head is pretty big. I feel like they should have like shrunk his head a little bit because he just has like a massive forehead. And second, I wish they incorporated like the YouTube's branding more subtly. For instance, I know on most SpongeBob YouTubes, they typically use this as like a highlight in their eyes, which I personally think is a better way of doing things. Because here, it looks like he's squinting, which doesn't make any sense because his eyelids are resting like this. So it kind of makes my head hurt just thinking, how the hell is he doing both at the same time? But to all of you Bubble Bass fans, I would recommend. Even though he's kind of a little overused in the show right now, I do like that he finally gets some plush toy rep. And I hope we get more like obscure characters in the future, or even re-releases of other ones. Like, it would be awesome to have like a Squilliam plush or a Neptune plush. Maybe Bubble Buddy if that's possible. Or give us another Pearl Mrs. Puff. Or Karen. They're characters that deserve it. Especially Karen. Give us like a cute little YouTube plush or something of just Karen and Plankton. I would buy that. Now let's discuss some non-SpongeBob stuff that I've gotten. When I went to Minnesota, I found this really cute We Bare Bears packaging. And my honest first reaction was, oh my goodness, they still release We Bare Bears? I love We Bare Bears. So I felt like I had to get this. Because the only other things I've gotten were the Sonic toys, and I didn't think those were great. Sonic toys honestly suck. But I got Panda. He's really cute. It's not like the best material. It's kind of like a rubbery, but you know, it's cute. And with We Bare Bears, it doesn't have to be like the highest quality thing ever, but it comes with some stickers and I'm probably not going to use. This one says Panda. This one says cute. This is a bunch of shapes. I feel like this is a reference to something. I don't know. And we also got a bunch of donuts. I honestly love this. And one thing that I really appreciate is how each bear has equal representation with 2 ice bears, 2 pandas, and 2 grizzlies. It would be cool to get some other characters like Chloe and I'm blanking on his name, but the one Lorax looking guy and the ranger. But I understand why they didn't like include them because let's be honest, the bears are more marketable. And the last thing on my Minnesota list, I got this My Melody and Chromie thing because honestly, this box art just looks really cool. They're like very fancy and there's 6 to collect just like with the We Bare Bears one. I like how all of them get equal rep, but I ended up getting My Melody, specifically the one on the box. And look at how cute she is. I love her blush. I love her outfit. The material looks really good too. It's almost looks like glass. I would have mistaken this for a ceramic figure. Not much to say on this, honestly. It just has great attention to detail. Also, when I was at Hot Topic the other day, I found this My Melody Nano block. You know, it's simple, but it gets the job done. I am not used to these small of pieces though. This is smaller than the typical Lego brick, which is why they're called Nano blocks. But I am actually in a Lego group right now, and I've actually told them about this set that I've made, and I saw a few of their sets, a few of Nano block sets, and they're really cute. I especially want the Miku one. But this is where I'm gonna end things off. Which item was your favorite? Feel free to comment below. And as always, it's all Sab from here. Hello random person, Sab Nino here. Welcome back to Sab Merch Odyssey. Today we are going to be talking about more Area X sets. So before I check them out, I just wanted to bring up how one of the distributors of the Area X SpongeBob line actually reached out to me personally. I'll show the company's name on screen, but they saw my pineapple video and told me that there are plans of putting all of these sets on Amazon. Right now, the Krusty Krab is on there, and in my Area X Krusty Krab video, I did put the Amazon link in the description. And as of the time of me recording this, they said that they should have the pineapple on there soon. But if the line does really well on Amazon, they are planning on putting more of the sets on there. And they actually offered to give me some of the sets, but unfortunately, I ended up buying the line that I'm gonna be talking about today on AliExpress already. But going forward, if you're watching this and still want to give me review copies of stuff, I would be all for reviewing these sets and showcasing them and promoting them for you. Enough stalling, I just thought that was pretty big. Just wanted to start off the video just discussing that, but let's talk about the sets. Unlike the other Area X sets, that I have gotten, it comes with a box. This is the Good Friends line, and this one is SpongeBob's house. There's like a space between square and pants. I don't know what's that all about. I love the flute image. That's very uncommon. Too bad Gary actually can't do that in the set. Here's the infamous I'm SpongeBob stalker, and there's no printing at the top other than the logos. This will change on the other boxes. One thing I find really cool is that for the seal of approval, they actually give the characters a driver's license. The first time I saw this, I thought they got rid of SpongeBob's age, like his birthday, but no, it's still on there. So SpongeBob is probably in his 30s. Also, is this meant to be imagination box? Cause it says inspiration box. Is it called the inspiration box in China? Feel free to comment below. And for the instructions, it has a QR code, and it just advertises all the sets they had at the time. Speaking of which, our first set. Each of these sets comes with these little dome things, these little cubicles, which are really cool for display. And the best part of this is that you can actually stack them on top of each other, but you can lift this up. Oops. If you've seen my Area X pineapple review, then this is almost identical to what was shown in that set. It has the same Gary build, it has almost the same bed build. The main difference is that it doesn't come with a charger this time. It has this door build, but it doesn't open up, which I would have preferred. We even have a miscolored Gary's food bowl. I think the only thing that's really different is this wall and this closet area, which wasn't in the Area X pineapple, but I really love the use of the 2x2s for his pants. And I also like how these ones are his PJs. I say if you can't afford the huge Area X pineapple, then I would recommend this as an alternative. Oh, and the first four in this line comes with a spring, which is a cute gimmick, but the downside is that they're very fragile and hard to put on. As I've said in the Area X pineapple set, this could just be a skill issue, but it has been difficult for me to put these springs on. But thankfully, there are ways to display this without the springs, so at least they're not mandatory. It also comes with this little compartment. There's actually specific things that you should put in here, but honestly, I just use this compartment to put all the spare pieces into, since if not in here, then it would just be in a spare bag, and I just think this would be more convenient. Overall, this is pretty good though. Obviously, the big pineapple's better, but this is a nice, cheaper alternative. Next up is the Krusty Krab, the finest eating establishment ever established for eating. I probably should showcase the boxes. They have some really cool stuff on them. There's this nice greenery. Nothing on this side. This is just naked. So your attention is really meant to be on these corners. Well, let's open this bad boy. Well, off the bat, is kind of falling apart. These tables are actually springs, which I suppose is a cool concept, but honestly they don't really need to be springs. I do really enjoy the SpongeBob minifigure. I like the different expression he has. It really differentiates him from the actual Krusty Krab set. I love all these little Easter eggs up here. It was interesting how this is the Krabby Patty formula. I thought there was something in this pink one, but there's jelly, there's the secret sauce, there's mayo, there's the galley grub. The one thing I find kind of bizarre is that the customers are fish. Like, not the background fish, but just normal generic fish. They tried coloring them in SpongeBob colors, but that's still kind of an odd choice. Also, it comes with a secret compartment with a shit ton of money, because of course. Honestly, this is also another nice alternative to the big Area X Krusty Krab. Though, I should say, something I just found out is that there's actually a $60 version of it, but honestly, the only thing that's really stopping me from highly recommending it is the lack of minifigures. But if it had minifigures, then I say it would have been a nice alternative. Just give us the Krusty Crew. Just add SpongeBob, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs, and you'll be all set. Also, the Mr. Krabs figure looks really good. So this is before they fixed this little thing where, like, the eyelashes are the same color as his torso. they did fix this later on. Also, this is kind of like a manufacturing issue, but the eyes and the hands kind of have to peel off of like a plastic thing, and the way they put the little screws on the eyes makes it so these red things are showing. Personally, I wish they found a way to not have it be like this, so you can still have that green part in. But again, this is a decent alternative to that massive Area X Krusty Krab. Plus, it's an iconic location, so of course it would be in this line. Also, the walls are a different color, I'm pretty sure. I'll show the original walls on screen. I almost forgot to showcase the gimmick. These can stack. Also, here's the side of the pineapple house, just so you see it. But this is very display friendly. The one thing I've noticed from the Amazon reviews, which I think would be pretty important to point out, a lot of people were kind of disappointed that they can't really play with these. I can definitely see that, but from the Krusty Krab and the pineapple and even this line, it definitely feels like they are aimed more at people who grew up with SpongeBob. I'm not saying this is inappropriate for any Lego builders like younger than adults, but there are a lot more tricky techniques. I've actually hurt my hands a few times when building these, so I just thought I'd bring that up just for something to keep in mind if you plan on getting this. Oh, and the Krusty Krab box looks pretty cool. I love the seaweed aqua color. This is really cute. Still no top printing, but that will change. Oh, and here's Mr. Krabs' ID. I'm surprised it doesn't say Eugene Krabs. Oh, I think the inspiration box is just saying that this Good French set is the inspiration box. That would make a lot of sense. Next up is Patrick's house. One of the many sets that doesn't have a bigger alternative to them. That could change. In the pineapple set, I sort of questioned if they do Squidward's house, would they include Patrick's Rock there or have it be its own set? Because I could see it going both ways. I'm guessing they would just put Squidward's and Patrick's houses next to each other just to raise the price, and probably because of the mindset of, oh, no one wants to buy a rock, which I call bullshit. Here is Patrick's ID, and one thing I find really interesting is that it showcases Patrick's birthday. It says here he's born on August 17th, 1984, which means that he is probably a Leo, just like me, and is 2 years older than SpongeBob. That is some really cool trivia. But anyway, Patrick's Rock. This decor is really cute. I love this star piece of gum, I believe it is. I'm not sure what that is, probably a shell. The SpongeBob and Patrick minifigures look really good. I love SpongeBob's excited expression, and Patrick's face is sort of similar to the one he had in the Krusty Krab set, but I honestly like this one better. It's less creepy. But there's some jellyfish jelly here. I'm gonna move SpongeBob so you can see the frames here. He has a sand TV as well, which is really nice. And probably my favorite Easter egg of the set, they include all of these licenses as a reference to the episode Farmer Bob. They're not really accurate, and I wish they actually showed the photos from those episodes, but perhaps he has more licenses than we let on. I also like how they incorporated the crushed can and sock. I like to think of it as a reference to Battle for Bikini Bottom, but I doubt it is. And this one has a spring too, which works. But the downside is that I couldn't get Patrick's springs to work. I was trying to put him into his little stubby stubs, but I pressed too hard and it just flew away, so I lost it. And even when I was trying to do it with one foot, it couldn't really balance, and it was difficult putting them in. So if you want to include the springs on Patrick, please be careful. But again, I'm happy they make the springs optional. Honestly, out of all the interpretations of Patrick's Rock, I don't have the snap and switch one, but the exterior of that one looks pretty decent, I won't lie. But this interior is really good. It's honestly pretty amazing how they took something as boring as sand and turned it into a really good building set. And for the last set of wave 1, Squidward Tentacles House. I'm just showcasing the box. Really cool. Interesting how they call them inspiration boxes. And here's Squidward's driver's license. It says his birthday is October 9th, 1977. So he's in his 40s, I think. I wonder if they got these from the wiki. But here's Squidward's Easter Island head. I guess the only downside I really have, like from a display perspective, is that this cuts off. Like, if you look really closely, the outline of this part of Squidward's house isn't visible. So I sort of wish they either made it bigger or drew a little outline on there. That's what I would have done. But it's no big deal, and it's something that not a lot of people would even notice. I just critique stuff that probably shouldn't even be critiqued. Here's SpongeBob with a little microphone. I like how casual his face looks. And Squidward has the same minifigure from the big Krusty Krab set, which is a shame. I wish they gave him a new headpiece. Also, he has a piano for some reason, which is a little odd since there is no clarinet to be seen in this entire set. He has the self-portraits, and it shows that he is a musician, but it doesn't show his iconic instrument. They don't even have anything on the shelves. They could have at least put it there, so that's kind of a shame. The piano build is really cool, but when did Squidward ever get a piano? I'm sure there's probably an episode where he was on a piano, but for a display piece it is really cool, and I like the handsome Squidward. I am not surprised that that's the most dominant one, but hey, it is a piece in Squidward's collection, so I ain't gonna fault them for including some meme culture in there, especially since it's very fitting. Also, for some reason, Squidward just has a lot of awards down here. I highly doubt he won those. Those were probably SpongeBob's leftovers. Okay, wave 1 is done. Now let's go on to wave 2. I like how the box sort of tells a story. I like that. So it's basically the same gimmick as the other boxes, except this one showcases the 2.0 set. Well, one thing I really enjoy is how they added like a little pattern on the top of this. It's very hard to see, but it's meant to be Karen's screen. Also, one thing I'm kind of disappointed in is that they don't go with the license gimmick. Instead, we just have these playing cards, which they still look cool, but I just think the license gimmick was a lot better. Especially since you get to learn about the characters' birthdays. I don't know, maybe that was the reason why they scrapped it, but you didn't have to include the birthdays. I would have been satisfied with just the licenses. It's a cool gimmick. It was very SpongeBob. But here's the third ever buildable chum bucket. You'd think there'd be more, but no, there's only 3. And with Wave 2.0, they started changing how they build things. For instance, instead of lifting the entire thing, you can open it up like this. Also, this comes with a neat play feature. You can lift this garage, and you can move SpongeBob like this as he's brainwashed. You can see his brain right here. He almost looks like Mojo Jojo. We also have Karen. She's kind of cute. Very tall, but really cute. The downside is that you can't really move her arms without this breaking, so I wish this top section had more stability. Also, Plankton is practically the same build as all the other times we have built him so far, since the minifigures sort of do their own thing, so Plankton sort of feels cheap by comparison. Also, I love how this monitor has like a reference to Plankton's army where it says Sheldon. It also comes with this little like black scribble thing from Plankton's good eye. That's what Karen used when Karen thinks Plankton's going evil. And honestly, this set is really cool. Though I will say I had a really hard time connecting these. I definitely failed, but it definitely gets the job done. I think I did as good as I could. But honestly, I think this is probably the best chum bucket build, period. I might even like it better than Lego. The next one is kind of an odd choice, but we have good friend SpongeBob's house. Again, this time it's the secret Krusty Krab from Band in Bikini Bottom, and the top has cool Krabby Patty printing. I will say, this card does look cool. It does differentiate it from the Series 1 SpongeBob, but I still miss the licenses. If they were afraid of reusing stuff, then for the SpongeBob set, I honestly would have given him his milkshake license. Would have been a nice Easter egg. But here is the secret Krusty Krab. What does this say? Oh, it says welcome. I wish they made the font bigger though. Keep it secret, keep it safe. It comes with this photo album. It comes with Gary, who is just serving. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. It has mayo, but what's next to him is peanut butter. I appreciate the reference, but That's just very weird, because peanut butter is not on a Krabby Patty. And it's hard to see, but the volcanic hot sauce is also on the TV. Plankton's here. I put him here, but he's meant to be inside the Krabby Patty. I just am having a hard time doing that. Also, one thing I completely forgot to bring up. The springs are completely gone in Wave 2. There are no springs, and honestly, I prefer that. They're kind of unneeded anyway. But SpongeBob's figure, for some reason, has a bow tie. I actually didn't know that until I actually got him, but hey, it's some nice outfit variety. Also, this background fish is different than the one in the huge Krusty Krab, but the main difference is just his clothes. His head's practically the same. I wish they had back printing on his shirt, because it looks like he's just revealing his back, but oh well. It also opens up like this. And we have Barry from Skill Crane. I'll be honest, I would have included the Confess-a-Bear from Pink Furloiner, since we already have Barry from the Krusty Krab set, but it's no big deal. Also, I like the walls of this set a lot better than I do the walls in the huge pineapple set because, well, it's color accurate. Also, you can slide Gary, similar to the Chum Bucket with SpongeBob. It's not necessary, but I appreciate the inclusion. Oh, and before I forget, they've actually colored Gary's food bowl right this time. For a while, they made it like pink or purple to coincide with the stock art, but this is actually the color they should have used. So good going, Area X. Next up, I can't believe they actually found a way to incorporate Sandy's tree dome. Though it's sort of bizarre how SpongeBob is kind of afraid of Sandy. I don't know what's up with that. The top has these acorn patterns. We also have the Sandy card. I really wish Sandy had like an ID like the rest of them. I want to know her birthday. I'll probably look it up afterwards. But yeah, here's Sandy's tree dome. It's just a bunch of greenery. I love the karate gloves. Honestly, I sort of wish they went the karate angle with this set because although I really love this display piece, and the fact that we finally have a tree dome set, the scenario they've chosen is very, very bizarre because they feature it in Sandy's lab. Also, why does she have a skeleton there? Did she kill somebody? We also have this plate. I'm guessing over here is a Rubik's Cube, and there's also a butterfly, which I like to think of as an intentional reference to Wormy, even though the colors aren't correct. But it's weird how SpongeBob is like Sandy's test monkey in this, and he's like obviously frightened by this. It almost feels like they got Plankton and Sandy in reverse. But I do know why they did this. In the episode Planet of the Jellyfish, there was a scene where Sandy does have SpongeBob hostage like this, but that actually makes sense in the context of the episode to make sure that SpongeBob wasn't a jelly in it, but here, I don't even know the context, if there really isn't. But one thing I do appreciate about this set is how, well, first off, we got our first tree dome Sandy. Though, one thing I don't like about it is the way they printed this, like her cheek area, because there's like an obvious seam here. I don't think that was an issue on the pineapple one, but if you really wanted to, you can actually swap out the parts and have her wear her normal suit, which is really cool. So final verdict, what the fuck, this looks kinky, but it's really cool. I still like it, and is a pretty big milestone because we have never gotten a tree dome set up to this point, and they managed to find a way to make it work. I might even say this Good Friends inspiration box is honestly perfect for the tree dome because it's already in like a glass container. Well, it's plastic, but it's transparent, just like the tree dome. So this almost looks like the dome, which is awesome. And last but not least, we have our first ever Mr. Krabs' house. Unfortunately, the box came damaged, so that kind of sucks. But again, I really like how it tries telling a story with the box. There's actually a huge improvement over Wave 1, the actual, like, storytelling. Also on this frame, I love how it's Mr. Krabs SpongeBob is all the sets. If they ever do a Wave 3, I wonder what they do for it. And on top, it's obviously money, because of course it'd be money. He loves money. And we have the Mr. Krabs card. Again, if they were afraid of the repetition of the IDs, hell, they could have picked the one with the mustache, just as an Easter egg. But here is Mr. Krabs' anger. Honestly, there's not much to this. but there doesn't need to be much. Though for some reason this shell isn't closing on me, but in the instruction it says to close it, so oh well. Unfortunately, Mr. Krabs is sharing the same face as the Krusty Krab from the previous set, except this time they actually fixed his eyelashes. They still have that manufacturing error, but it's not as bad as last time. Though here's probably the weirdest direction of the set, the SpongeBob minifigure. Why is he in his underwear in this set in particular? He's just almost naked at his boss's house. I really hope they're not referencing behind closed doors with this one. Things don't go well for SpongeBob in the end. But for the first ever Mr. Krabs' anchor, they did really good. I love the color choices. I really love how it looks cluttered and sort of messy. It really leans into his navy roots. I'm a little sad that they couldn't fit in the Dollarama though, but it's no big deal. I love how they include the hammock instead of cheaping out to a bed, which he has had in some episodes. Also, Plankton's just here, which is very interesting because typically Plankton's a piece and not a sticker, but that was the last thing in the set. Here's the entirety of the Good Friends inspiration boxes. Overall, even though a lot of them aren't perfect and some of the gimmicks are a little odd, they're still really good display pieces and are a great cheaper alternative to people who can't afford the bigger, more expensive sets. They don't have this entire line on Amazon right now, but I will definitely see if I can get a link to these two. I know these two are on Amazon as we speak, and I would recommend them, even if I think the rest of the line is much cooler. And I really do hope that they do end up on Amazon, because if they manage to get all the sets on Amazon, I'd honestly start buying them there. Also, due to the distributor who reached out to me, I am deeply sorry that this particular line didn't work out. I unfortunately already have them in the mail, but if you get more sets onto Amazon and want to send me review copies, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be sure to keep on a lookout and we can definitely arrange something. But to you guys, my random people, which of these sets are your favorite? Do you like this method of building bricks? Is there any locations you'd love to see in this format, or any of these that you'd love to see as a bigger set? Comment below, let's start a discussion. And as always, it's all Sab from here. Hello random person, Sab Nino here. This video is history because I got my very first sponsorship and I am so excited. But I have gotten free review copies of some Area X sets and some Balody sets. A brand that I haven't even tackled on this channel before. And they're all SpongeBob, so you guys will watch. But before I delve into that, first off, I want to show off the Snap and Switch SpongeBob TV. I think this is one of the better Snap and Switch builds. It's really cute, and I actually did own a SpongeBob TV that looked almost just like this. The gimmick is to recreate episodes, but the only one you're really able to recreate is Hello Bikini Bottom, so I wish they give you more options for other SpongeBob episodes. Maybe put this in the above Five Below section. But as it stands, it's a really cute display piece. But enough about Snap and Switch, let's get into today's sponsor, and then we will talk about the Area X sets because, well, the Balody sets haven't shipped yet. This video is sponsored by Barware. Let's face it, as much as LEGO is cool to build, sometimes it's either out of our price range or are missing key brands that you might be interested in. For me, SpongeBob has been lacking in the LEGO space, so imagine my surprise that this website has just about every good SpongeBob brand under its branch. Don't like SpongeBob? No problem, because it has other cool stuff too, from movies to anime. It even has different building methods such as micro bricks and Technic. These sets come from all over the world, so some warehouses provide special deals. From the US, the EU, and the one currently having special deals, China. Plus, if you want an even better discount on items and want to support the channel, use the promo code SABNINO to get 14% off on certain items. As someone who loves showcasing niche and obscure merchandise on the channel. Having Barweir as a sponsor is a great way to do just that. Thank you for listening, and now back to the video. The first set is this SpongeBob. These are made for the 25th anniversary. I know the SpongeBob and the Patrick have like a name. Okay, I found the instructions. These are called Good Friends SpongeBob and Patrick. SpongeBob is misspelled. And I have both of them. I can't stress this enough, but I got these for free. These would have been like $60 otherwise, which is still a pretty good price on their website, but I just appreciate it. And one thing I appreciate about this line for the 25th anniversary is how they actually credit the artists they use in every single product. And this one is made by Andrew Kolb. It's hard to see because the instructions are kind of folded, and he is from Canada, which is really cool. And according to the instructions, he is an illustrator who grew up on SpongeBob, so I could imagine him being really happy about this collab. My copy didn't come with a box, but I did get this piece of paper. There's nothing on the back. And we also got this, which also has a lot of other artists who were featured in the collab. I think this is the artist that inspired the Area X sets. I know these were on a puzzle, same with this one. Okay, this is one of the Area X sets. I know this one was a part of the Krabby Patty collab. This was on one of the boxes. This was like on a pamphlet. Honestly, I love just about all of these artists and all the unique ways they have interpreted SpongeBob. This is the type of shit that I appreciate about brands like Vocaloid, because they're always collaborating with artists and other brands to create some really cool stuff. So it's awesome seeing SpongeBob take that approach for the 25th anniversary. And I hope we get to see more stuff like this, because SpongeBob is such an iconic character that he doesn't have to be perfectly on model and still be recognizable. So yeah, please do more of these artist stuff. I would definitely try to buy as much as I can. I definitely want to get the card pack from Unbox Industries and that one plush from this really cute Korean artist. In terms of the set itself, when it's built properly, it actually looks really good. The downside is that mine broke, and I'll get into a little bit as to why. I do think this is my fault and not an issue on Area X's for the most part. Though I do wish instead of this wood that there was some way to make this one solid thing instead of one that bends. But the interior, it's really cute. It's like this avant-garde, almost trippy innards of SpongeBob. And it has some cool features to it, like there's a lot of cupcakes, which is probably a reference to his birthday, which was last year, the 25th anniversary, as it says here. I love the triple gooberberry sunrise. I like how this gift is printed instead of a sticker. This heart, I have a complicated relationship with, solely because I accidentally put like a stud on the face side, and unfortunately that's some of the reason as to why this thing broke on itself, because I was trying to rebuild this, so I had to build this entire thing twice, and I've been trying to take this wooden thing apart so I can reposition the Patrick, but unfortunately there is no support for him to stand in, so he just kind of flies around, and I wish there was a better way to display him. In terms of the figure itself, it is still really cute, and I even love the chocolate covered heart. It makes me kind of worry for his health, but I like it. Also, it has like this spiral background. I actually use this background for a lot of my videos. I will show it on screen. A lot of the 20th anniversary and onward stuff I actually make custom, like the doodle background and the bubble background. I actually use photos from the merchandise that I own, and for the diamond background, I just painstakingly crafted that. But anyway, about the set, I wish the background was just printed on the back of this wooden face frame, because instead you can kind of see it on the bottom here, but it's kind of falling off. I know that's due to like the broken wood, but it is a very difficult thing to build. And unfortunately, I am not satisfied with how this turned out, which is a shame because I love this idea, I love the details, It's just the exterior that just kind of ruined it for me. I even love that. This is a cute SpongeBob illustration. This is right up my alley. But as you saw in the instructions, there are 2 of them. So, will SpongeBob's best friend save this? Let's find out. Next up, we have Patrick Star, which thankfully turned out a lot better than SpongeBob. His shape is really cute, and I am just noticing an error that I accidentally put. These wood cardboard thingies, these are meant to be on the front. So I think the perfect thing I feel like I can say on this matter is whoopsie doodle. Also, here's kind of a way you can light it up. You're technically supposed to use the arms due to fear of things falling, which makes sense, but thankfully, the interior of this build is a lot more sturdy than the SpongeBob one. And my major complaint about the Patrick one is fixed here, because SpongeBob has studs that he can latch onto, so he can perfectly sit in place. And I love that. And there's a cute gimmick too of him just launching out of a Krabby Patty. So I feel like they got the innards of SpongeBob and Patrick kind of reversed. You'd think SpongeBob would be the one with the Krabby Patties and Patrick would be the one with the ice cream. Because even though both of them love ice cream and Krabby Patties, I think those are more synonymous with both of their characters. Since SpongeBob works at the Krusty Krab and makes a bunch of Krabby Patties, and Patrick has a love for ice cream, to the point where in Sponge Out of Water, ice cream was his superpower. But I love the way they build the Krabby Patties. I'm guessing that's queen jellyfish? But it's hard to say because it's so small, so maybe it's a princess jellyfish, which is a really cute concept. But overall, I am a lot more satisfied with the Patrick than I am with the SpongeBob. I know these were trending on Instagram for a while. This was before I decided to take a social media detox. But I used to see these all the time, like on my Instagram feed. So I'm guessing these were like pretty trendy to own, and I can definitely see why, because they're cute display pieces. It's just a shame that the Patrick one turned out better than the SpongeBob one. But I ain't complaining. I like the Patrick show. I just wish both of them looked good, and I will definitely try to tape this. Oh, and I forgot to mention this in the video, but another thing I really appreciate about the sponsor is that I have complete creative freedom in terms of what I am allowed to say about these. But even though the SpongeBob turned out less than ideal, I am gonna say my bad on this one, in that nothing I say about these have anything to do with the distributors, because the packaging, the way they package this is borderline SpongeBob proof. Watch the Plankton movie to understand what I'm referencing there. But as it stands, I'm not sure where I'd put these, honestly. Like, in terms of the rating of the entire Area X line, I think the Krusty Krab might be the highest, the Pineapple might be number 2, and the entirety of the Good Friends line, the smaller ones that I tackled in a bigger video, it's hard to say, because I like the gimmick of this one more, but Good Friends is a lot more iconic. But at the same time, these two are both Good Friends, so are they a part of the same line? I don't know, I might put the smaller Good Friends higher solely because we get a lot of locations that we don't have in buildable forms yet, but this is still really cute. And overall, I would recommend these. I just recommend being very, very careful with the wood. Don't do what I did and completely fuck it up. Don't let your OCD get the best of you. Just accept the fact that the Patrick in your SpongeBob is just gonna not sit right ever. But who knows, maybe I even built that section wrong. It's hard to say, really. Wouldn't be the first time I fucked things up with these sets. And that's kind of an issue I started to notice with Area X as a whole. You have to be very, very precise. One wrong move could lead you to having to build the entire thing all over, which is why I probably wouldn't recommend any of these sets to children. They will probably be very frustrated with a lot of the methods and how tedious a lot of the builds are, but you get results. These are definitely adult collector's items, I'd say. Now I'm just gonna let this video footage sit in my Google Photos until I get the Balody sets, which are gonna be interesting because those are micro builds. So quick update, I did fix the SpongeBob with double-sided tape because that's the only tape I have. But unfortunately I had to rebuild all of this. And at this point, this is broken on me like 6 times, so I honestly stopped giving a shit. So if you had to pick any of these, I would definitely go with Patrick. For the second half of this video, we are actually going to be talking about a company that we have never talked about before on this channel. That being Balody. And as per usual, it is sent by our sponsor, Barweir, who sent me this sick-ass sticker. Thank you so much. Say what you will about the stuff inside, but so far, the company sending me these review copies did a phenomenal job with the packaging. I really have no complaint. They were well packaged and put together and were handled with care. I guess the best way to talk about the Balody sets is to go over the minifigures. So for context, there are 3 sets, and my biggest issue is that all of the figures are the exact same for each of the sets. Same characters, same expression, same mold, same outfit, same everything. Which is why you're seeing all 3 of these SpongeBobs. I will say, SpongeBob looks pretty good. I do have one issue with the figures, which I will dig into once we talk about the sets. He has like a decent face. Though one of them came in with like a black smudge, but my therapist pointed out that I could just color it in with Sharpie. But I don't think that's big of an issue. Again, it's the same for each of them, so if you get like a defective one, there's at least that. It reminds me a lot of the Area X one, though there are things that I wish Area X did. For instance, they actually added dents in the holes, which I really enjoy. And the sleeves are actually a part of the arm, which I also wish Area X did. Next up is Patrick Star. Star of the hit TV show Patrick Star Show and star of the video game Patrick Star Game. He might be getting a spin-off movie, but I'm not sure what's up with that. One issue I kind of have with him is his feet. What are up with his feet? Is there a reason for this? But Patrick looks pretty good. Unique face, unique mold, reminds me a lot of Area X. I just wish they weren't the same figurine 3 times. Woodward might be my least favorite out of all of them, because plain and simple, his face is ugly. He is an ugly motherfucker. I hate it. I hate his face. Look at it. He is ugly and he's proud. And I know why this is. Okay. It's stitched on there pretty good, but basically there's 2 pieces for the head, a piece for the eye, and as you can see, a piece for a nose. I personally would have just made the nose a separate piece, not the eyes. Also, the printing of the eyes didn't do that great of a job. He looks ugly. Second to last, we have Mr. Krabs. He's a little chunky, but I think they translated him pretty well. I did have a hard time with his eye stalks though, I will be honest about that. But they look pretty good from a distance, you can barely tell that I had a hard time with it. Again, it reminds me a lot of Area X, though it still has the weird leg problem. I don't like these legs. Time for the last one. We have Gary, which I will say, I'm not sure if this is intentional or not. This one is colored different. I'm not sure which one is meant to be the actual one. I'm guessing this one, solely because that's the ones we have a duplicate of, but this is honestly the best Gary I've seen. The only real downside is like the lack of green on the bottom, but other than that, it looks pretty good. If I redid that YouTube short of the minifigures, I would probably boost this Gary up to number 1, if I'm being honest. But enough about the minifigures, let's go over the set. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Eugene Krabs does. I say, out of all the builds that we're gonna go over from Balody, this one was the hardest. You're basically building it 1 layer at a time. But one thing I never really liked about the instructions is that they always do it by layer, when I wish they built it like kind of similar to how they would with actual Lego, where they don't just focus on the layer and instead what the focus of the build is. Like for instance, maybe start off with the ground and then put in the accessories like the TV and the chair. But that could be nitpicky. Honestly, after these sets, I'm probably never gonna do micro bricks again. These were difficult, but you get results. This does look like SpongeBob's pineapple, though I can definitely see why the Area X pineapple doesn't brick build the exterior now that I've actually had a set where you build it. But let's look at the inside. Off the bat, it doesn't open right away, so I apologize for the lighting. Here you have the living room, which looks pretty good. The only downside is that these antennas are kind of flimsy, so I can't have them stick up like they do in the instructions. Also, the chair is the same orange as the pineapple. I would have made it red like the bottom base, but for miniature builds of the pineapple, it does look really good. Obviously, it's not as detailed as the Area X pineapple, nor did I expect it to be, but this is still a respectable amount of detail that is put into the set. It even fixed one of the issues I had with the Area X one by having the living room actually be blue. It comes with a bathroom. I believe this tiny thing is meant to be the ringer, but it almost looks like a toilet stool or like one of those squatty potties. Know what I'm talking about? It has like a weird commercial attached to it. The garage also opens up. It's kind of weird how it's in the living room, but then again, Area X doesn't really fix this issue either. I guess it's kind of difficult when SpongeBob typically always has a garage door, but doesn't always have a garage. So I'm not gonna fault Balody for that one. I'd only recommend this one if you want a challenge. If you want a challenge of a build and are into micro bricks, then I would recommend this pineapple. If not, then I'd probably recommend some of the other sets in this line first, and maybe end with the pineapple, because I'm guessing these all come in a 3-pack. That's how I got them. But let's move on to the next one. The Krusty Krab, home of the Krabby Patty, because no one else will give it a home. Okay, let's see if I can try out these legs. Okay, they stick on. They serve their purpose. They just look ugly though, like as a figure. Oh yeah, I forgot. The minifigure criticism. Let me delve into that real quick. Was just about all these sets. The characters are too big to interact. Like look at SpongeBob, he can't fit in his bathtub. He is way too big for his couch. Gary should not be twice the size of his couch. So I would have made the figures smaller, or not have included the minifigures at all. Or you know what would be really cool? If these were brick built and they were like just really tiny simplistic versions of the characters. I know I've seen something like that before done in Lego, so if I find it, I'll show it on screen. But something like that would have been really cool. Very avant-garde. But anyway, the Krusty Krab. Even though I say the pineapple was the hardest, this one had some difficult builds to the point where after a while I started building some details wrong. For instance, this flag, I accidentally made it so this side is smaller than this one. That's not how it was supposed to be built. Also, I'm pretty sure this curve is not supposed to come up right here, and these nails are meant to be extruded more. I will say, I only found one other person who talked about these sets, and it broke my heart because he had to break all of them. But one thing that guy actually brought up, I don't remember his name, I'll probably show his name on screen, but he said that this Krusty Krab doesn't open up. I'm here to prove him wrong. It does open up. And once you slide this out, you get the Krusty Krab. I originally had this critique with the Area X Krusty Krab, but now I have this complaint with this one. You can't really open this up. I wish this was able to open up like the other ones so you can actually play in the rooms, because it's built in such a way that you can't break it and actually play in the insides. But even with that said, even if you wanted to play, SpongeBob takes up the entire size of the kitchen. Also, I think they gave SpongeBob 2 grills, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this is a grill, and that's the deep fryer. And then I'm pretty sure there's a grill right here, typically where the condiment area is. Mr. Krabs can't even fit in his office. Not even the Lego figures can fit in these. And these are like bigger than a Lego minifigure. Off topic, but do you like my new bracelet? I made it yesterday. Overall, I considered the Krusty Krab to be medium difficulty, though that roof was probably the hardest thing out of all of them. It just would not go through. It's a miracle that I even got it on. So expect some difficulty with the roof. Oh, and a few things that I almost forgot to bring up. They added a little lamp here. I think it's like a light for the boats, but there's no boat here, so it would have made more sense for the Area X Krusty Krab. Also, some of the things are miscolored. For instance, I'm pretty sure this circle is meant to be a black and not a blue, but it doesn't really matter too much. And this antenna, I'm pretty sure it's meant to be like a darker color. Also, I'm pretty sure this bamboo base is meant to be like more of a yellowish, maybe even the same color as the door hinges. But that's a nitpick, and it is the color of bamboo, so I'll give it some slack. And for the grand finale, and personally the one I was the most looking forward to building, Squidward's house. I'm not sure if Area X will ever make a Squidward's house or Patrick's rock, but for now, this is pretty good. The exterior looks really well. However, it is missing this little window here, because typically there's a window here, but when you open it up, you get a lot of iconic locales from Squidward's house, even some niche ones. For instance, this big screen television, which is from the episode Idiot Box. I was not expecting them to do that. I would have expected them to just use the normal TV design. We have this little dining area. We have a window here, which doesn't make any sense because there's no window here. What's even more bizarre is that the pineapple has actual windows. Also, there's 2 windows up here when in the actual build, they're on the 2nd floor. So I don't get what's up with that. Also, the way they built the door is a little weird. You get like this rim around it, which is a little bizarre because this is just meant to be one solid wooden door, but that's pretty nitpicky. But these are really nice micro builds. I like how it has a ton of self-portraits throughout. The one thing that's surprising about the portraits is that it's very interesting how they use stock art for the paintings opposed to actual paintings from the show. I think this one's the only one, but even this is stock art. I would have thrown in at least a Bolden brush personally, but out of all of them, this is probably my favorite just because we haven't gotten an in-depth Squidward's house yet, and this is easily my favorite Squidward's house that is buildable in my collection. Plus, it's the easiest one to build due to how simple it is. So if you want to get these for yourself, I would highly recommend starting with this one first. I saved it for last like an idiot because I wanted to build up suspense, but oh well. I guess my last critique is that, can we stop discriminating against Patrick's rock? Come on, we have the pineapple, we have Squidward's house, we have the Krusty Krab. Where's Patrick's rock? We have 3 Patricks and 0 rocks. I was just kidding. He definitely made a Patrick's rock. What do you mean these aren't micro bricks? Look, he fits right in. It's totally perfect. We have the entire Con Street gang. Okay, I'm lying. This is Five Below. But it does blend in decently well, right? Right? This makes for an alright display piece if you get the Five Below set. But this wraps up my very first sponsorship. I'm not sure what the future holds for the sponsorship, but I hope it goes well, because it means I get to show off more cool stuff like this. I thought the sponsor was very on theme for the channel. So shout out to Barweir. Be sure to check out my code and stuff if you want some cool alternative Lego stuff. These sets aren't perfect, I will be honest. Okay, the Patrick one is close to perfect, but my critiques with these sets have nothing to do with the sponsor. So overall, I am satisfied, and these are really good for free sets. And I am grateful that I was able to get these for free. So thank you, Barweir, for sponsoring this video and for letting me be open and honest about these sets and being able to share them with all of my random people. But anyway, what do you think of these sets? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Are you mixed on them? Comment below, let's start a discussion. And as always, it's all Sab from here. Hello random person, Sab Nino here. Welcome to another merch video. I did a poll and it turns out, other than the gaming videos, you guys really want to see more merchandise videos. So I wanted to deliver on that front. There is a lot of stuff I want to do. But to get the ball rolling, I'm going to start with something small. I'm not sure if you guys know about this, but on Lego's Ideas, somebody pitched a Lego Krusty Krab, and it looked really cool. It had a lot of detail, and it was almost identical to the show. However, a Krusty Krab was pitched twice, and neither of them were approved, and I think I might know the reason why. You're looking at it. That's right, they are making demakes of Lego SpongeBob, I guess. These are called Snap and Switch, and they're basically just small builds. The first one is the pineapple, and there's basically nothing to it. It's just a pineapple. I don't know why these are green instead of orange, but this is clearly inspired by the Lego build. And here's the back of it. There's stickers and stuff. It also comes with a figure. It comes with this. This is what SpongeBob looks like in the set. If you look really closely, you might notice how this is almost identical to the Mega Bloks SpongeBob figurine. It's basically almost the same height. The only difference is probably the coloring and the face printing and stuff, but it's basically the exact same thing. The only slight difference is the back. Next up, we have Lego Krusty Krab. This should have been the Lego Idea set, guys. I can't believe they turned that down for this. Look at this. They don't even get the flags right. But then again, though, Lego SpongeBob never included this flag. Mega Bloks does, but not Lego, so I'll give them props here. And these are the figurines. I don't have a Plankton with me right now, but the Mr. Krabs is basically almost identical. The only difference is the pants color, I think, which I must say is a lot more accurate. And there's slight stuff too. It's hard to see due to the lighting, but there are tables that are stickers. Come on, this place is empty. Build tables. Why not build tables? It's Lego. These are building bricks. Take advantage of it. We also have Squidward's house. Even though it's very tiny, I hate to admit it, this is probably the most accurate Squidward's house we have ever gotten. Again, I really don't like the stickers on these. They're pretty lazy. There's even one that was hanging, and I believe I gave up halfway through, so I stuck it onto one of the sides. Or maybe it just fell off. This isn't Mega Bloks, but it's sort of a similar thing. This one is from the Jamor Japanese line, which is basically bigger versions of the Mega Bloks sets. They're pretty similar in that regard. Even though these are demake Lego sets, and looking at them compared to what I used to have as a kid is honestly a little depressing, but they're harmless, so I'll give them that. We can't have the Krusty Krab without the Chum Bucket. Weirdly enough, Plankton has a duplicate. None of the other characters have a duplicate but Plankton so far. And it's basically the exact same print and everything. We also have Karen. You know, Karen was translated alright. And here's the back of the Chum Bucket. I don't know why it has this wire. As you can see, it was very hard for me to actually build this. And Karen has a little monitor at top. And I'm gonna save the best for last because I have some thoughts on it. I forgot to bring this up. The Krusty Krab comes with a sign. The best for last. Bikini Bottom Express. When you think of the Bikini Bottom Express, what character would you expect this to have? You might think Sandy because of Texas. You might think of a bus driver. You're not gonna guess who it is. This is the set that represents Patrick. Fucking Patrick. And this pisses me off. And you wanna know why? This is blatant Patrick's Rock discrimination. And I'm not gonna let that slide. They have been doing it for a while. Bikini Bottom Undersea Party, that excludes Patrick's Rock. Bad Neighbors excludes Patrick's Rock. Imagine X, Patrick's Rock is literally just a slingshot. What do these marketers have against Patrick's Rock? Like, we have SpongeBob and Squidward's house, and right next to each other, they look good. But then we just have the Bikini Bottom Express just ruining everything. It pisses me off so much. Because we have the characters as a trio, but we don't have Patrick's Rock. We don't have all three of their houses, so what the fuck? One thing I will say though, I honestly do like this Patrick a lot better than the Mega Bloks one, solely because the pants are much more accurate. This one, he has a little bit more chub than usual. He almost looks like he's wearing very short boxers. Here, they basically wrap around his torso, and I think that's really nice. So this video's pretty short, so I feel like I need something to extend it with. Luckily, I have just the thing for that. So during Christmas, someone gave me a knockoff coloring book, so I thought, why not showcase its glory? Here's the most overused stock art that isn't technically stock art. Sometimes they don't even fill in the cheeks, which I find to be really funny. This is just stock art that people mistake as real stock art. But the pants are a dead giveaway. Typically, SpongeBob is in his underwear in this particular stock art. But yeah, the line width is very inconsistent. Look at how thin Gary's eyes are. In this one, you could just color the outlines. And I'll give them this. This one actually doesn't look that bad. Sure, it's flipped, but this does look pretty damn legit. So I'll give credit where credit is due. There's also a sticker sheet. Half of these backgrounds are just the most generic shit you can ever find. And with this one, they blatantly stole fan art. This is from the artist SpongyGirl92. Speaking of which, here's Squidward from that exact same image. I don't even know what the hell is going on over here. What is this? Why is SpongeBob an astronaut? I don't know. There's a pirate SpongeBob. This one doesn't look that bad despite the line inconsistencies. This one actually looks pretty badass. God, this line work is awful. There's so much overlap. Look at this shit. This is how you can tell this is a knockoff. How am I supposed to color in this rainbow? It's so thin. This one doesn't look bad despite the cheek. Then there's this that tries to copy the logo. They love this image of Gary. This is dummy thick. This is the thickest one so far. Also, that nose overlap pisses me off. And the last one is okay. And this is the back. This is Surfer Skate Road Trip art. They just have some generic fish. Those are my favorite creatures in SpongeBob. And that was my not Lego and bootleg coloring book video. What do you guys think? Which one of these was the most interesting to you? Which one would you actually get? I'm assuming you guys would pick not Lego over an actual knockoff, even though is not Lego technically a knockoff? I'm not sure. Also, let me know what other stuff you want me to tackle. Whether it be SpongeBob stuff or, I don't know, maybe Hatsune Miku. I have a little stand right here. I have quite a bit of a collection of her. So if you ever want me to talk about any of that stuff, feel free to comment below. When it comes to SpongeBob stuff, I'm sure I'll make a Burger King video. I have quite a bit of Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's toys at my disposal. And I currently have my sights on a few board games, mainly Race to the Krusty Krab. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that. And I guess with all that said, it's all Sab from here. Hello random person, Sab Nino here. A while back, I made a video discussing all the Snap and Switch sets at the time. And since then, they have made a ton more since that video. So I thought, why not go over the sets again, almost a year later, and see how well they hold up. I mainly did this to ask a question that I've had for a while, which was I too harsh on the Snap and Switch sets? Obviously, they're not as good as Area X or anything like that, but do they stand on their own? And that's what I'm trying to figure out. So let's start with the set that started it all, the pineapple. I also discussed the minifigures as well. I just wanted to have it on the screen for the intro so it wasn't boring. But this is pretty much almost an exact replica of the Mega Bloks minifigure. It's like the same mold, though the back printing is a lot weaker, so I wish they fixed that. The color is more accurate to the stock art, and the one thing I will say, I wish they gave SpongeBob more face variety, or like gave him another set of eyes, similar to the Miniso trendy sound line. Yeah, for a while I kept calling them Jamor because that was on the Amazon listing, but I did find out that the actual name of that brand is Trendy Sound. So my apologies for spreading misinformation for so long. But yeah, I would have given them like happy eyes, maybe like a different face, just for the sake of variety and to take advantage of the fact that these eyes do come off. But for the pineapple itself, it is definitely based on the Lego SpongeBob. It's like the same mechanics of like starting off flat and then curving them in on one another. The leaves are the exact same piece. They even do a similar thing with the windows, except they're stickers, which I think is a massive downgrade. I don't really think the stickers really look that good, though I have a feeling that's just because I did a shitty job of applying them, but I don't know, I think these should have been printed so they looked better. And the interior doesn't have much, unfortunately. Like, I appreciate the decor via the use of stickers, but unfortunately there's not much here. I know they re-released this and they added some furniture, like buildable furniture, and they do have the flowers on the sides of that one, which I really enjoy. Though I'll be real, I'm not sure if I want to spend an extra $5 for that one. Also, this doesn't have a chimney, which is inaccurate. And another thing that kind of bothers me is that, why is this green? They should have made it like a red color, like the Lego sets. But it's green and I don't know why, but that's a pretty big nitpick. For a display piece, it's definitely not the best pineapple out there, but if you want something that you can play with, then unfortunately this is severely lacking. The next iconic location is the Krusty Krab, and this one comes with 2 minifigures. There's Mr. Krabs, which is, again, almost an exact replica of Mega Bloks, just with more stock art colors. He translated pretty well, and Plankton's the same, though I honestly like the color of the Mega Bloks one more, and I would have gone with a better face, honestly. I never really liked this face, I'll be blunt. I think Mega Bloks have made better Plankton faces than this, but oh well. In terms of the Krusty Krab itself, for a cheaper alternative of the Krusty Krab, I think it does okay. I do like the sign. I like how they actually made it a shell, which is something that the trendy Sound Miniso line didn't do, which absolutely sucks. And even though it only has 3 flags, I get it for this kind of build. I'm surprised they didn't make it a sticker though. The one thing that bothers me that they did fix in a remake, this clear piece. I don't get what's up with that. The clear section right here, making it look like the window is much bigger than it is. I would have made it a brown piece, but again, I think they fixed that. Also, the interior is absolutely nothing to write home about. Instead of building the tables and chairs, they made them stickers, which I always thought was very lame, but I'm pretty sure they fixed that in the re-release of this. Also, it's sort of sad that the characters can't really fit through the doors of these, but oh well. I do think this is a better display piece than the pineapple, but it is still lacking in a few areas. And again, there's not really a lot of play features with this. Here's Squidward's Easter Island head. Just like with all the rest, the figure of Squidward is basically just a Mega Bloks line, just slightly tweaked to make it their own. Also, he lacks eyebrows, which is very distracting, and they never fixed this. The only other set that he's in is a Snap and Switch set with the pineapple and Squidward's house, which comes with a bubble stand, which is a nice touch, though they never fixed the eyebrow there, which is a little distracting. I even said this in the video, but I like how this Squidward house does its own thing instead of taking direct inspiration from Lego or Mega Bloks. This is more comparable to Mega Bloks, especially with this. It does easily come off like in Mega Bloks, but that's because in Mega Bloks you can knock it down. That was a play feature, but the color is definitely the most accurate here, and the interior is mostly stickers. I don't understand why the clarinet is a sticker though. That doesn't make any sense. But I'll be real, I wish a lot of these were built instead of stickered. Like, I feel like they could have built a single chair here for Squidward to sit in, maybe built a bathtub here, maybe have this entire floor be the bathtub. Because as it stands, even though the exterior is great, the interior I feel like leaves a lot to be desired. But I say this is overall one of the better of the Snap and Switch sets, even if there aren't a lot of play features in it. Next up is the Chum Bucket, which is really cool because this was like the only Chum Bucket outside of Lego. The Plankton minifigure is just the same as the Krusty Krab one, but it makes perfect sense for him to be in the set, though I do wish they gave him another face. We also have Karen, who is rather small in this set, but I think they translated her decently well into a minifigure. Honestly, we need more Karen, just merchandise in general. I like Karen a lot. A neat feature with this one is that the doors actually open up, which is surprising. I didn't expect them to actually do that. Too bad they can't fit through the doors, so it's kind of unnecessary, but credit where credit is due. And the interior of the Chum Bucket is very bare bones. It has the menu, which actually does make sense for it to be a sticker, but it also has this red beam that's often seen in the Chum Bucket. But the downside is that the stickers don't stick that well, so it has fallen on me quite a few times, and it doesn't even look that great. I think the issue is that it's sticking onto curved pieces, like multiple pieces at once that are in a weird angle like this. Because this center one is stuck just fine, but it's just these ones that keep falling off and doing this weird shit. I will say this does look better than the Lego Chum Bucket. Even though I do like the play features of the Lego Chum Bucket more, this one at least has the door opening thingy, and you can actually move these, which I suppose is also a neat play feature as well. It's not much, but I'm just grasping at straws. But the Area X Chum Bucket is definitely the best Chum Bucket so far. Be sure to check out that video after you're done. I'm really proud of it. Next up is the one that I got pretty heated about last time, the Bikini Bottom Bus. Honestly, it's a cute build. It's no Bikini Bottom Express from Lego, but it has more accurate colors, and it does make sense for these to be windows, given how small the build is. And it does give more of a play feature since it is a vehicle, and vehicles are always fun play features. But the issue I had with it is the character they chose for this, and I was upset that they didn't include The Rock. Do they ever fix this? Stay tuned to find out. But as it stands, I definitely think I was too harsh on this. Because on its own, it's pretty cute. I do like the vehicle, though it does suck that Patrick can't fit in said vehicle. But I do consider this a good set. Also, the sign display is really cute as well, although a little wobbly. And Patrick himself, I actually think they improved upon the Mega Bloks one, because in the Mega Bloks minifigure, these legs were just his pants. While here, they made his pants bigger, so it looks less like his junk is suffocating. So good job, Snap and Switch. This is a good set. And now for the stuff I haven't covered in the original Snap and Switch video, but have tackled in other videos on this channel. This one is Sandy's rocket. And here's the Sandy minifigure. One thing I find very bizarre is that it's like a weird hybrid between Lego and Mega Bloks. I wonder why they did this, because it's definitely very different, especially with the leg articulation. None of the other characters have leg articulation. So in order to be fair, I would have just had it be based on the Mega Bloks. Also, it doesn't have a tail, and the arm articulation is a lot more limiting because it's more like Lego articulation, which is fine if it wasn't for the other Mega Bloks inspired figures in this set, making her feel like an outcast. Also, one thing I despise about this is the sticker. Why did they make this a sticker when it's a round surface? Because it's very easy to fall off. When I was comparing all of the minifigures in that one YouTube short, it even fell off and I couldn't find it. So yeah, fuck this flower. I hate it. Super lazy. And unfortunately, the rocket isn't much better. It looks very clunky, and the interior is just okay. Sandy does fit in it, which I do like, but in order to get her in the rocket, unfortunately, you have to be very careful. Oh, did I mention that this set is really fucking fragile? I have had this motherfucker break on me so many times when I was building it, and it still breaks. It is the most fragile out of all of the Snap and Switch sets. There are a lot of loose pieces. Like right now, even this is loose. It also has the spinning gimmick, which I would have loved, but it doesn't spin that well, so what's even the point? So unfortunately, this is not only the worst Sandy's rocket set, but this has to be the worst Snap and Switch set of them all. I would not recommend this in the slightest. And I really hope they fix it like they did with the pineapple and the Krusty Krab, because this one actually needs fixing. Okay, my frustrations aside, now let's talk about a location that has never gotten a set up to this point. Jellyfish Fields. Typically this is the point where I'd say I give them massive points of originality, but there is something I do want to bring up about this. I made a video on what if Lego SpongeBob were to make a comeback. And one of the locations I included was Jellyfish Fields, because at that point there haven't been any sets relating to Jellyfish Fields. And this came out after that video, which makes me wonder if they got inspired by my video. I doubt it, but it does make me sort of curious, because it does use some of my ideas, like the jellyfish being on clear pieces, the coral formations. They even used the way I did the flowers. but this is still a really cute set. The jellyfish field sign looks a little weird, but I still think it looks okay. I love the use of greenery. Even the stickers are pretty well utilized. The one downside I do have about this is the SpongeBob minifigure. It is an exact duplicate of the pineapple one. And the reason why that sort of bothers me is because they could have easily put him in his jellyfishing glasses. And since these are based on Mega Bloks, there is a mold for glasses that Mega Bloks have made in the past, so I don't get why they didn't use that. But as it stands, it's a nice display piece. And it's pretty big, as it should be. And even though there isn't a lot of play factor, it still makes for a really nice display piece. The second to last one is a very interesting choice because instead of a location, we have a SpongeBob popsicle. Hey, I'll give them points for originality. Lego or Mega Bloks have never done this before. Probably because when those came out, the popsicles weren't as popular as they are now. But this is a nice build. I like how it's not perfectly square. The color choices look really nice. And it has a really cool play feature. Because as it says on the box, it comes with 2 sets of eyes and 4 different sticker faces. And here's what some of the faces look like. Which I will say is a nice gimmick, though I wish they made it more brick built, because once you apply a sticker, unless you want to break the stickers, you can't really change the faces. So my popsicle is stuck like this. So I wish they found a way to make the customability less permanent, but I do like the inclusion. Also, it comes with a display stand, which is also really nice because this is meant for display. I also like how it's transparent, so it kind of looks like ice. But this is probably one of my favorite sets, solely for originality. Plus, it makes me really hungry for a SpongeBob popsicle. And for the grand finale, Patrick's Rock. This is really cool because I legit thought that they would just skip out on this due to the Bikini Bottom bus, but I'm really grateful they didn't. And it makes me wonder if they actually listened to me in that video. Again, I doubt it, but it would make a lot of sense. And you can lift it up just like Patrick's Rock. The Patrick minifigure is the same, so I wish they gave him a different expression, but oh well. Even the TV has like a nice Easter egg because he's watching Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. And this is actually a screenshot from the episode. The chair is a little weird. You can't really sit in it, but that's kind of the issues with these types of minifigures opposed to the chair itself, but it is accurate. One thing I do want to bring up is how it does come with stickers, but I left them out because I'll be completely honest, I think it looks better without them, because here it looks a little inaccurate. But this is what the sticker sheet looks like. It comes with Gary, which is very interesting because we have never gotten a Gary prior to this, and he's just a sticker. It would be cool to have like a brick built Gary eventually. It'd probably be like the Mega Bloks one if I'm making an educated guess here. Hell, this might be the best Patrick's Rock we have ever gotten, because the Lego Patrick's Rock just looks super inaccurate, and even though the Area X inspiration box does look better, that is mainly the interior, while this is the exterior that is meant to represent Patrick's Rock on the outside. Plus, you can actually fit Patrick in the rock, which is something I wish more house-related builds would do. So yeah, this might be my favorite Snap and Switch set. It's like a tie between this one, the Popsicle, and Jellyfish Fields, honestly. All of those turned out pretty good. And the best part is that now, all 3 of these sets make for a great display piece. Because for a while, it was just the Pineapple and Squidward's Easter Island head without Patrick's Rock, which makes it feel empty. But now we have all the houses, which is awesome. So that was my review of all the Snap and Switch sets that they have released so far. Not counting variants like the re-releases of the Pineapple and the Krusty Krab, or the one with Squidward's house and the bubble stand, or the Comic-Con exclusive SpongeBob popsicle with the hat. So to answer my question, was I too harsh on this? A little bit. I think so. I will say it did start off pretty rough, especially with the lack of play features and the displays not looking that great of displays. I definitely think I was the right amount of harsh on this Sandy's Rocket set, because this absolutely sucks. But after that dud, we got the Popsicle, we got Jellyfish Fields, we got the Rock. So I say they're definitely improving a ton. So if you want some cheap sets, then personally, I do think Area X is a lot better, even though that's like $20 for each of the Good Friends Imagination boxes. If that's out of your price range, then maybe consider these, especially the latter half of the line. But what do you think of Snap and Switch? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Are you mixed on them? Do you think they're improving? Do you think they're taking a nosedive? Comment below. And as always, it's all Sab from here. Hello random person, Sab Nino here. Welcome back to another tier list. Today we are doing Mega Bloks SpongeBob and Lego SpongeBob. Starting off with the one that started it all, Lego SpongeBob. All opinions in this video are my own, so if there's something that you disagree with, then share your thoughts in the comments and just start a discussion, as long as it's civil, of course. But let's get started. Our first set is Heroic Heroes of the Deep. Definitely one of the more affordable Lego SpongeBob sets. It is a cool gimmick of SpongeBob and Patrick being superheroes. I do like the niche stock art. Remember that Man Sponge and Boy Patrick phase of stock art where they put SpongeBob in this blue hero costume that never appeared in the show whatsoever? It was really at its peak in like the 2010s. Yeah, Lego got in the mix of that, because this is the only hero minifigure of SpongeBob ever. And Plankton's also on this set, and he does get like a new face, which is really cool, and a cool little mech suit. Though it's a little bizarre how they changed the Krabby Patty formula design. I think the original actually looked better, but even though it's affordable, I'm gonna put it in C tier, solely because I think the theming could have been better. I know when the set name was released, people thought it was gonna be a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy set, but that didn't end up happening. And honestly, I'm kind of disappointed that it wasn't. Like, that boat could have been the Invisible Boatmobile or some other vehicle, and SpongeBob and Patrick could have been either the Mermaid Man cosplays or the Quickster and the Elastic Waistband. I don't know. This was like way before SpongeBob merchandise really tried appealing to the fandom. This was definitely the era where they gravitated like almost against it. Like, sure, there's a lot of products with like SpongeBob references in 2011, but it felt like for the most part they were doing their own thing. Next up is Glove World, another C tier. I personally think this set deserves a bigger one, because Glove World is an amusement park, so go nuts with it. I do like the SpongeBob minifigure in the set, and it's cool getting another Sandy, which is bizarre because up to that point, Sandy wasn't in Glove World, and the last time I could think of where Sandy was in Glove World is SpongeBob's Bad Habit, but she wasn't having a good time. He was just stopping SpongeBob from biting his nails. Also, none of the builds in Glove World is actually in the actual Glove World. They're like just independent builds. Don't get me wrong, these builds could fit into a Glove World setting, and I get it for the sake of the build, but I don't know. I think they could have done better. The Flying Dutchman's Graveyard. I adore the Dutchman minifigure. He's really cool. And I love the pirate getup on SpongeBob and Patrick. Even though it's not the outfits they wore in ARG, honestly, for minifigure variety, I think the getup turned out a lot better than what they wore in that episode. Honestly, the minifigures are definitely a selling point to the set, though the downside has to be the build. I wish the ship was the main focus instead of it having an island. Like, keep the same price point, just make the Dutchman ship bigger, because it's a big fucking ship. I think it deserves a bigger set. I did make a video on what if Lego SpongeBob made a comeback, and I made like a replica of the Dutchman ship that was a lot bigger. I'm not expecting them to go that big, but something a little bigger would have been nice. But I do like the concept. of a Flying Dutchman set. I'm happy we even got the Dutchman in a Lego set, because he's a character that doesn't get a lot of representation. Hopefully that'll change with the upcoming movie. But I'm gonna give it a B tier. And one of the final sets, Bikini Bottom Undersea Party. Oh, and the Dutchman was also technically the final set. The minifigures in this set are really cool. Although it doesn't make a lot of sense for Mrs. Puff to be there, I do like her inclusion. Though I'll be real, I don't like the flower on Mrs. Puff. This might be controversial, but since Mrs. Puff isn't a character we don't get very often, it would have been nice to just see a normal Mrs. Puff with this happy face. Because the only normal Mrs. Puff has her worrying, which is very fitting for Mrs. Puff as a character, but it would have been nice for variety's sake. The miscellaneous stuff in the set is fine. It provides some nice play features, though it doesn't make sense for Con Street to have a merry-go-round or a seesaw or anything like that. Wonder what that's all about. Did they rent them? But the biggest selling point has to be the exterior builds of the Pineapple and Squidward's house. In terms of exteriors alone, I think they are the best. For the exteriors alone, I think they are the best iterations of SpongeBob and Squidward's houses. The interior of the Pineapple is kind of lacking. Unfortunately, they don't even get his alarm clock right, instead just giving him a normal clock. The interior of Squidward's house is honestly the best one, because this is the second Squidward's house in Lego period. As one of the final sets and the best exteriors of the Pineapple, I'll give it an A tier. Sure, there's decorations, but this is actually for once an upside to having stickers, because you don't have to apply the stickers for the houses in the Undersea Party set, so you can just have them on a regular day. The first Lego Krusty Krab. Oh boy, this one gives me a lot of nostalgia. I like the minifigures of SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs. They are very simple and effective, and are the first minifigures you'd probably associate with Lego SpongeBob, period. The Squidward minifigure is definitely creepy. I never liked him. Why did they give him such a creepy smile? Why did they give him like a minifigure head? It just doesn't look good. And there's a reason why a lot of people consider him one of the creepiest minifigures to date. But it has a lot of cool play features. I like the cash register and the grill being like a separate thing, and having the grill have like a launcher. I like how the dumpster's kind of a launcher. It's completely unnecessary, but it provides a cool play feature. And the little container that SpongeBob holds, where you can hold the Krabby Patties. I wonder what that's about. Is the goal to try to like launch the Krabby Patties into that thing? Also, there's a safe with a ton of money and Mr. Krabs' office that hides the Krabby Patty formula, which I think has a better formula design than Heroic Heroes of the Deep, despite it being a sticker. Could Lego do better nowadays? Oh, absolutely. But for the time, and for one of the first ever Lego SpongeBob sets, I will consider it S tier. To me, this is the definitive version of the Lego Krusty Krab, because Lego's Ideas is definitely not getting one. Build-A-Bob. This is also one of the very first Lego SpongeBob sets, and is actually the first one I have ever owned. And since I was a dumb 6 to 7 year old, I couldn't figure out how to build this. Thankfully, as I became more mature, I was able to build this. And this is actually the only Lego set that I actually own currently. I just found it at a Comic-Con and kept it ever since. This isn't the most accurate SpongeBob ever, but there are a lot of nitpicky things that I could complain about, like the lack of holes and like the belts being wrong and not having any fingers, but this still is a really, really good display piece. Not only that, but it has fun play features. It's based on the episode Plankton, where Plankton takes control over SpongeBob's brain, so we get a bigger Plankton minifigure, which is really sick. But there's a lot of Easter eggs, like there was like a painting from the Algae's Always Greener that they incorporated, and a blueprint. There's little things like a bubble launcher that you can use SpongeBob's mouth to shoot, which you could shoot out of SpongeBob's mouth, which is a nice use of the jellyfish pieces. I know it's called the chef hat piece, but I always associate them with jellyfish. I like how you can move the eyes, and you can change SpongeBob's face to be scared, which is very fitting given the circumstance. Honestly, S tier. This is a solid set. Bikini Bottom Adventures. Another one of the first sets, and the only one to include Patrick's Rock. Sadly, the Patrick Rock build kinda sucks. Honestly, the interiors of all of the houses are pretty lacking. There's nothing in there that would really be in the characters' houses other than SpongeBob's bed. But SpongeBob never had a basketball court. I felt like they just included that because, oh, the pineapple's orange and basketballs are orange. Let's give him a basketball hoop. I don't know. They could have done better with that. The boat that Patrick drives is really cool though. And I like the jellyfish launchers as well. So you can challenge your friends to a jellyfish fight. I have that commercial stuck in my head now. Also, Squidward's house is kind of lacking. Even though it does have a fun play feature of trying to launch jellyfish into the eyes and hit targets. Unfortunately, due to that play feature, Squidward's house is more lacking than SpongeBob's because all we really have is like this blue thing that's like a bed, which I'm guessing is a bed, but it just looks very depressing. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, I'm pretty sure, but I'm gonna give it a B tier. The exteriors look really good, but a lot of the interiors of the builds aren't that great, and even though it has a lot of good play features, this isn't the definitive version of Constry in my opinion. Bikini Bottom Express. Such an odd choice, but a welcome one. I love the side builds too, like the bus stop and the ticket stand. And even though the Bikini Bottom bus isn't orange, it's more of a reddish, I do get why they made it orange, so they can use the orange window pieces. I also like how you can fit all the minifigures in the bus. They didn't skimp out on that angle. So honestly, I'm gonna give it an S. It's simple but effective. Sandy's Rocket. The first set with the Sandy minifigure. The glove roll does have the better of the two Sandys, but it is really cool to have a Sandy set, and having it be the Rocket makes perfect sense because it comes from a very early episode and a lot of people would know what that is. The side builds are really cool. The little vehicle with a bunch of jellyfish in it. I love the lifty thing to get up to the rocket. The rocket itself is a little lackluster, but you can fit all of them in the rocket, which is really cool and does have some neat stickers and little touches to make it more rockety. Plus, as a kid, I would just play with this rocket all day. The only downside I remember having was the red pieces that are used to make the rocket stand sometimes falls off, but I haven't had this set in years, so I could be wrong on that. I'll give it an A tier. The first and only emergency room set. I'm pretty sure this was a LEGO store exclusive. This was definitely the last green and white label LEGO SpongeBob set before they went to the yellow era. I was expecting more negative space with the emergency room, but honestly, the interior looks pretty solid. You get like a medicine cabinet, you get like a laptop, have like a place to store the hospital bed, you get an ambulance, which on the box it shows Patrick driving it, which is a little worrisome, but if I'm being completely honest, S here. This is a solid set. Krusty Krab Adventures. D. Off the bat, D. Out of all the ways to re-release the Krusty Krab for a modern audience, why did they have to downsize it this much? The paddy wagon's really cool, but the interior is so lacking and they get details wrong. Like, the sign has never been up there. The grill took a downgrade, the register took a downgrade. Everything is just a massive downgrade. The only good thing is really the paddy wagon and the minifigures, of course. So why did they put Patrick in instead of Squidward? The original Krusty Krab did a great job of putting Squidward in the Krusty Krab because that's where he should be. But I have a feeling they just left Squidward out so people could buy the next set, Good Neighbors at Bikini Bottom, which does feature Squidward. And off the bat, Squidward got a massive glow up. Honestly, this set has a lot of fun play features, like SpongeBob's bed, though it does suck how he doesn't have an alarm clock, but it's cool that his bed is still a launcher. There's the reef blower, which is a nice build. Probably the most random thing has to be Patrick with the boat launch with the marshmallow launcher. I'm not sure who came up with that, but it's definitely very weird, but it's really fun. There's like a barbecue that also has a play feature, and you can flip unauthorized Krabby Patties. Squidward has a cute stand. Even the interior of SpongeBob's pineapple, I think, is an improvement. There's not much, if I'm being honest, but the little decor on SpongeBob's walls definitely makes up for it. Plus, you already have so much of SpongeBob's interior, like his TV, his chair, and his bed. So you could just spread it open and put all of that inside. Though if I have to nitpick, a lot of these items are very easy to lose. So if you do get this set, I would recommend getting a bag or having a good place to display everything. But as it stands, S tier. I think this is the definitive version of SpongeBob's pineapple. The Chum Bucket. Technically the biggest chum bucket we have ever gotten. All of the inventions that are included, like the Krabby Patty robot, which Plankton tries shifting into maximum overdrive. I love Robot Bob's sponge shift pants. There's a tank in here for some reason, which would make sense now, but at that time, Plankton didn't really have a tank. And this was before Atlantis Scorpantus. So that was definitely an interesting choice. There's like a seesaw too, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Oh, and I almost forgot, there's also like a robot from Plankton's army, which is also a nice Easter egg. And you can trap SpongeBob into like a machine and like spin him around, which I'm assuming is how Plankton gets his brain into the robot chef. At this point in the series, Karen was a screen, so they just made her a screen, which makes perfect sense. Though personally, I prefer mobile Karen. She's a lot more expressive. The main downside I have with this is the exterior of the Chum Bucket. It just doesn't look super accurate to me. I don't like the extra bolts. I get it for the play features, but it just very inaccurate. Also, the first floor is very lacking. I would have put in some chairs or something, like the little restaurant area there. I actually built the Chum Bucket in that What If Lego SpongeBob Had a Comeback video, and that's actually what I did. Also, I love SpongeBob's minifigure. It's not that often that you get a shocked SpongeBob, like a sad SpongeBob. This is actually the only frowning SpongeBob minifigure. Even in the hospital, he's just smiling as he has like a bandage. So, it's great for facial variety. All things considered, I'll give it an A. And lastly, Mrs. Puff's boating school. This boating school is just one massive play feature. It's basically an entire course of trying to avoid obstacles, go through the flaming hoop, crashing into a wall, all as you try to get to the finish line. It makes perfect sense for a boating school set. The school itself has some nice Easter eggs. It's a very simple setup. You just have like these shell chairs and Mrs. Puff's desk and maybe a chalkboard. The downside is that you can't sit in the chairs, which kind of sucks. And the lighthouse is also very lacking, but I do get why it's lacking because at that point, we never saw the inside of the lighthouse. We don't see the inside of the lighthouse until season 12, I'm pretty sure. But I wish they added more to that. Also, I love his antenna. That's a nice reference to the very first boating school episode, and Patrick was his walkie-talkie. So honestly, A tier. I'll be honest, there was a lot more S tier sets than I was expecting. A lot of these sets are good, despite them being able to do better nowadays. I would love to see LEGO's take on a modern LEGO SpongeBob build, but once the license of LEGO SpongeBob expired, it got transferred to Mega Bloks, so let's discuss those, shall we? Also, just off the bat, I am not counting minifigure packs unless there is a build to them. I'm not including the blind bags as their own sets because that would just get kind of cluttered. But the first set is Krusty Krab Attack. Off the bat, the exterior, even though the doors don't open, are a lot better than the Krusty Krab in LEGO. And I like the way it opens up too. Even though the doors inside don't open either, they make for a nice visual touch. I even like the sign. Like, it's a little finicky because the gimmick is that it falls on people, but there's also cool features like a Krabby Patty launcher, a plate thrower that you can use to launch at a SpongeBob robot, and less spatula, which is also a nice reference. Also, one thing I really appreciate off the bat is they give SpongeBob a spatula, which is something that LEGO has never done, and I never understood that. And Plankton's on his little mechanical robot thing as well, which looks really
really cool. Honestly, it looks cooler than the Lego one. I also like how they go back to its roots by having the original Krusty crew there. They don't add Patrick in replacement of Squid, as it should be. It's basically a mixture of the Lego Krusty Krab and the Chum Bucket in terms of play features, but honestly, I give it an S tier. The Invisible Boatmobile Rescue. Now this should have been Heroic Heroes of the Deep. I love the build of this thing, and I love how it's all clear pieces. Lego would never. And Plankton has a little bulldozer, which is a less interesting build if I'm being honest, but it does make sense for a superhero set to have a villain. Personally, I would have included Man Ray and the Dirty Bubble instead and have their vehicle. That's actually what I did in my Lego SpongeBob comeback video. The one downside I do have with this set, which I have a problem with Mega Bloks in general, are the jellyfish launching. Like, at this point, it was a new concept, so it makes sense. But after a while, they started overusing that concept, and I honestly don't like the jellyfish pieces. They're like squishy, which is very accurate to SpongeBob, but it's not so good for longevity. Also, I love SpongeBob and Patrick in their Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy cosplay. I know originally they had them as the Quickster and the Elastic Waistband, but it does make perfect sense for this set to have them be MM and BB instead. Though I wish we did get those Quickster and Elastic Waistbands in like a minifigure set or something, because they are iconic. But as it stands, A tier. Beach Resort Figure Pack. First off, this should have been Goo Lagoon. You can easily shape this into Goo Lagoon, and it has a lot of attributes that could be in Goo Lagoon, so why didn't they just make this Goo Lagoon? But I feel like since this is a figure pack, I should really critique the figures themselves. And they're not too shabby. All the characters are in their beach attires. I love Mr. Krabs' little life jacket. Patrick's wearing a similar outfit as he did in Enchanted Tiki Dreams. And I love how Squidward's just in his life jacket too, just screaming for his life because he's just water skiing. And the background fish look pretty cool too. It's a nice variety, so if you need crowd scenes for your Mega Bloks stop motions, you can easily have those. Also, the SpongeBob minifigure is really cool. Oh, and Gary's in this set, and I won't lie, he's kinda creepy. A tier. I don't have much to say on like SpongeBob's Racer. It has a nice color scheme, though I know the jets easily fall off. B tier. Patrick's is kinda bizarre because his is a Viking theme. I don't get what's up with that. Does it look cool? Yeah, but it's very, very random. Also B tier. SpongeBob Wacky Pack. It's just as bad. One thing I do find cool about Mega Bloks over Lego is that it does have nice smaller builds to not only extend the world, but for people who can't really afford the bigger sets. But then again, the bigger sets are honestly pretty cheap too. That's one advantage Mega Bloks does have over Lego, the price. Sadly, the value did go up over the years, but it still looks really good. But it's still a lot better than Lego. Honestly, A tier. The minifigure's really cute, and the bed is definitely a lot better than Lego. The downside is that it doesn't really have the bamboo things that the Life Preserver supports. So that kind of sucks, especially since they could do that for a smaller set. One thing I would do, personally, is take the Lego SpongeBob bed, take those bamboo pieces and put it on the Mega Bloks one. Oh, and Patrick's little headpiece as SpongeBob's nightcap is really cute. It's a really cute piece usage. Patrick's Wacky Pack. Honestly, S tier. I'm gonna give it an S tier. It's simple. It's the first instance of a normal Patrick minifigure. Patrick's chair has like basically the same feature as the SpongeBob one, but it does make sense to include. I like the ice cream build, though. If you use it for too long, it eventually just falls off. Mine definitely has that issue, unfortunately. Rock Band Figure Pack. This is so random, but it's pretty cool. Although I don't like how SpongeBob's face is identical to the Racers one. He has a different costume, at least. Toy Fair, they gave him a different expression, and I wish they kept that. I like the Rockstar fish minifigures. I like Plankton's makeup. Squidward being happy is a nice change. There's not much to build in this set, so honestly, I'm gonna give it a C. The minifigures are cool. I just wish there was a lot more to build. Oh, fun fact, Mega Bloks is actually the only line to have a movie tie-in, because Sponge Out of Water is the only movie with buildable sets. But the first one is a Photo Booth Time Machine, which is a nice small build. It's really cute, and I do like the gimmick of it spinning and having SpongeBob turn into SpongeGar. Though, I'm gonna be honest, that is kind of false advertising, because due to that set, I thought SpongeGar was gonna be in the movie, but he wasn't. That was clearly just there for the play feature. A tier. It's a cute build. I am only giving it A because of the slight false advertising of it. Next up is the Burger Mobile Showdown. Unfortunately, mine broke. So if you get this set, be very careful. My main downside with this set is the lack of minifigures. And I know why too. Invincible and Sir Pinch-A-Lot are in this set, but Mr. Super Awesomeness and Sourno are in a minifigure pack. They just did this so you can get the minifigures in the blind bag. They're encouraging you to get the blind bags. I don't really like it that much. I wish all 4 of them were just in there. Also, despite it having Burger Beard's ship, it doesn't have Burger Beard, which is sort of bizarre. I guess the thought process is due to like the size inconsistency, but they're human size and they're superhero forms, so I don't really think that's big of an excuse. I'm gonna give it a B tier though. Welcome to the apocalypse, Mr. Squidward. I hope you like leather. The post-apocalypse figure set kinda has sort of the same issues I have with the Rock Band set, but I do like this a little better. The donut thing is pretty cool. It has some minor side builds, but honestly it doesn't do much still. Even though the minifigures are really cool, I especially love Patrick's. That looks something straight out of the movie. I feel like they just put a screenshot of the movie on like a plate and just called it a day. So for that reason, I'm gonna give it a B. It's definitely better than Rock Band though. Next up is Pickle Tank Attack. That doesn't feature pickles, like at all. To my knowledge, I don't think that thing he's shooting is a pickle. Personally, I would have made the tank bigger, but I do like how it's a more affordable set. It does have a lot of cool set pieces from the movie, like the ketchup blaster, the mayo, and of course the tank. Honestly, A tier. But the main selling factor for me had to be the Tartar Bomber. It just looks so cool. It's very accurate to the movie. I love SpongeBob's minifigure. I love Plankton's face in it. And it's a nice display piece. When I first got into college, I had this on display for a while until bigger sets just naturally took its place because I'm a collector. I'm gonna give this an S tier. It's pretty badass. Bike Racer. This one is a bizarre choice. I don't understand why SpongeBob merchandise always gives him a motorcycle. It is very 2000s core, I will give it that. I did have a poster of SpongeBob and Patrick on motorcycles as a kid, so it does give me a little bit of nostalgia. Plus there was a Jack Pacific set with him on a motorcycle. I'll give it an A tier. Gary's still creepy though. And Patrick has the paddy wagon. Honestly, this is a better one than the Viking one. I wish they just started with this one if I'm being completely honest. And it's a better build than the Lego one. I like the cheese pieces, I like the lettuce, and I love how the wheels are pickles. That's something that Lego never did. They just made them generic wheels. S tier. The Mr. Krabs Racer. They put Mr. Krabs' racer in like a little tube, just like the SpongeBob and Patrick ones, but they re-released it to put them in the boxes. But SpongeBob and Patrick didn't get the same treatment, so I wonder what's up with that. It's just a generic boat, to be honest. On theme for Mr. Krabs, but it's not very interesting. C tier. Pirate figure pack. Yep, that's what it is indeed. It is a pirate figure pack. I do like the raft, but personally I would have gone with a ship. Maybe the Dutchman ship, or maybe Mr. Krabs' ship in Arg. One of those two would have been nice. But I do like the minifigures in this set. I do like the inclusion of Sandy, because he's typically not featured in the pirate adventures. Honestly, I'm gonna give it a B tier. Could have been better. Sandy Wacky Pack. This one is just a fidget toy. I'm just gonna be blunt. You just spin 2 karate gloves. And I don't know. I think they could have come up with something a little more creative. So honestly, I'd only recommend this set for the Sandy minifigure, because this was the first time we ever got a Sandy minifigure, so I can't fault it for that. I'll give it a B tier. I'm a little generous today. Wacky Jim. This is just a cute display piece. Not much in terms of builds, if I'm being honest. It's just SpongeBob lifting weights, but I really like the minifigure in this one. But for the sake of fairness, I'm gonna give it a B. Wacky Surfing. Massive points for originality, because we get some Larry the Lobster rep. It's a bloody miracle if we get anything Larry the Lobster. The gimmick of this set is basically just a slingshot, so at least it provides for a nice play feature. You know what, I'll give it an A tier. Wacky Wrestling. I actually put this set in my Lost Media video because for a while there wasn't much documentation on this. But someone in the comments section did tell me about this Korean YouTuber who did discuss this set. And from the looks of it, it's very lackluster. But you wanna know something that would have made this less lackluster? Adding SpongeBob. Just go nuts with it. Have it be SpongeBob and Patrick wrestling like they did in the Fry Cook games. I don't get why they keep excluding muscular SpongeBob whenever they do a muscular Patrick. They're made for each other. Funko Pops did this too. I'm sick of it. C tier. Squidward Racer. Same thing with the Mr. Krabs one. It started off in a tube, was re-released as a box, and even though it's better than Mr. Krabs, it's still kind of generic. Doesn't really reflect Squidward all that much. C tier. Sandy Rocket Racer. I never owned this set, and there's really no documentation on it, but I'll give them props. It's an original take on Sandy's rocket. This should have been Sandy's starter set, because it's at least a build. Honestly, this is probably my favorite out of the builds. Out of the racers, just in general. I'm giving it A tier. Squidward Dragster. This one also doesn't have any documentation on it. Unique build, though it's kind of bizarre. Why did they make Squidward a pirate? He should have been in the pirate set if I'm being completely honest. B tier. It's at least better than his first racer set. Finally something juicy. Bad Neighbors. Exterior wise, this looks phenomenal. Definitely better than Lego. I love how the pineapple looks more rounded. Though the main downside that I have with this set is the lack of interior. Like, you could theoretically put SpongeBob's bed into the pineapple house, but it's just empty. All it really has is a food bowl and a few paintings. And I get that he has like the jellyfish shooter, which again is getting old, but they could have fit at least a chair. Maybe the television. They had room, so utilize it. Also, Squidward's house gets it worse. It doesn't even have an interior. He's been reduced to a bathtub gimmick. Though it is funny how we do get a naked Squidward minifigure, and SpongeBob's minifigure is also pretty good. I say both of the goods and bad parts of this set kind of balance each other out, so I'm just gonna give it a C. Monster Rally Boat. This one is kind of random. It's pretty cool, though I don't understand why they keep making SpongeBob drive when he doesn't have a license. B tier. Wacky Burger. This was another set I saw from that Korean YouTuber. Thanks to the comment section of the Lost Media video that I've done. I'll be blunt, this doesn't really need to exist. I like the chef hat, and the table and stuff, but is this really necessary when we have the Krusty Krab? C. Jellyfish Baseball. I believe this is the last Mega Bloks set I've ever owned. I might be showing a little bias. I'm not crazy about the jellyfish gimmick. At this point, it has overstayed its welcome, and it doesn't make a lot of sense here because why are they using jellyfish at baseballs? Especially when they have a baseball? Just use the fucking baseball. Honestly, this set is just animal cruelty. I don't like it. D. Goofy Golf. Well, I'll give them points for originality. This episode doesn't really get referenced often. I don't get why Fred's here though. I do like him for minifigure variety. I think he's more fitting in like one of the minifigure packs, or maybe they should have put him in the Krusty Krab. But I enjoy SpongeBob and Patrick's minifigures a lot, and Squidward in his nightshirt. Though I'll be honest, I'm not sure how the actual golf really works. Did they make it a slingshot where you like hit Squidward with it? That's how it looks like on the box. I don't know. I've never seen this set in person. I've never owned this. We tried getting it on the Mega Bloks set, but it shut down, but it just didn't exist. It wasn't selling, and there's no documentation of this online. This is technically lost media. I'll give them points for not making it jellyfish launching again, because I was getting old. I'll give it an A tier. And last but not least, SpongeBob block pants. I actually have this set on display right next to my Build-A-Bob. This is like almost an exact revert of the Build-A-Bob from Lego. Lego had a brick build minifigure. This one just has SpongeBob for some reason. It would have been more fitting if it was Plankton, if I'm being honest, especially with the Krabby Patty. The Build-A-Bob has ridges on the sides. Mega Bloks has ridges on the top. Lego has a flat mouth. Mega Bloks has a detailed mouth. Lego has big eyes, and Mega Bloks has these cursed small ones for some reason. So it's really a pick your poison. I do like the Krabby Patty build. The fact that it's a piggy bank is less impressive, but it does make for a nice display piece, which is why I have it on display. Give it an A tier. If it wasn't for the eyes, I'd probably make it higher. And that was my ranking of the Mega Block sets. Definitely a lot more A's than Lego, but Lego has more S's. I don't know, it's kind of weird comparing these two because their focus is very different. Lego is more towards making iconic locations, while Mega Bloks is more focused on minifigures and like small gimmicky sets, to the point where I really have like a hard time picking between the two. I might like Lego a little more solely because that has more longevity. A lot of my Mega Block sets have seen better days. Sometimes the arms of the minifigures just fall off. The jellyfish net of the SpongeBob block pants has seen better days. So I say Lego is a lot better than that front, so if you get Mega Bloks, please be careful. But anyway, what Lego or Mega Block set is your favorite? And what do you think of my tier list? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you mixed on it? Comment below. And as always, it's all Sab from here.